see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-looking for another load. Well, it's a family tradition, any Rocky Mountain day. Our fathers before us showed us the way. We work for asphalt cowboys and concrete kings, but that's never been a problem, cause we got diesel in our veins. We've got diesel in our veins. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks.
What's up, JFW family? Welcome back to the Channel 23 podcast. The purpose of this podcast is to reach out and touch the fleet, to engage and inform everyone with all things JFW. Good morning, men.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
If you don't recognize those voices, we got Brother Dave, Jim White, or Brother Jim, and Super Dave.
Good to be back, even though it's just last week.
Yeah.
Happy podcast day, everybody.
We're on a roll. We're stringing two together with Jim.
I can't believe how fast time's flying. Time is flying. I mean, it's last day of January.
I know, and it's 60-something degrees today.
Right.
Like 62 or 64.
I mean, February 1st tomorrow and only 329 days to Christmas.
Wow. That's awesome. By the way, this is episode 117.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many days until we start mowing the lawn?
Didn't
Well,
do that math, Dave.
If you're Scooby, not
Next
that
month.
many.
Yeah, right. Saturday.
Going to give it a February trim.
February trip.
I've already started fertilizing. So got the nitrogen now.
I moved mine off the floor this weekend, cleaning up the garage, and I thought, should I put that on?
I raised one side of my mower up an inch.
That's because you always make a left-hand turn, right?
That's it.
Got to
Yep.
angle it down to make those corners.
Got that left rear wheel locking. Hey, if you guys are in a spot where you could join us in the Pledge Allegiance, please do. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Father God, we thank you for the opportunity to go out and do some trucking today. We pray for the safety of our fleet, all of their families, and all the other families and individuals we come across on the road today. We pray for patience and in making a good, safe decisions. We pray to be accident-free and that we all make it back to the comforts of our homes this evening. We pray for healing and 100% recovery for all of our family members that are ill. And no matter what, we trust you, God. It's in Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
Amen.
As a reminder, anything you hear on today's podcast is not the opinion of JFW's. It's just our expressed opinion. Episode 116 did well. We are on the rise. We have 635 downloads. We are at 63.4 thousand total downloads, and we have 536 followers.
Whoop, whoop.
Awesome. Awesome. Hey, Jam, I wrote a little note on here. I need to back up on the disclaimer. And I'm going to throw out an apology because I think it's going to get rough. And I'm sure we're not going to name anybody when we get to talking about it. But I just, we hit the scale, and it's later in the notes. We hit the scale, and we also hit one of our own trucks this last week. And, you know, we've talked all these years about hitting the fence post, and we don't talk enough about the other trips. But these accidents are such a waste of money. And as we talk about them when we get to them, it's not about the person, and it's not dogging that person. It's not ridiculing that person. It's trying to send a message to everybody else of what happened and trying to help that person be better or not complacent. And I want to put that out front before we get going in here because, you know, in the past we've heard, you know, that, oh, you called me out or anything like that. And I know we won't use names. I mean, I think the one, it doesn't matter, but it's just important that these podcasts are set up to make ourselves better and talk about a diverse commentary, I guess.
Yeah. Open dialogue.
Open dialogue. But man, the camera footage, and I hope somebody took the time to watch the one where we hit our own truck. You know, the cell phone use, the and it's not even the cell phone use. It's the distraction. It's not doing a great job.
Jim, let's
So-
get back to what it's called. Frickin' situational awareness.
Yeah, yeah.
When you were taught before you move a vehicle, you look in both mirrors. You look forward. You look backwards. You look around you. We got in the truck. We released the brakes. We stared down at the dash, and we made a right turn and drove off. Never looked in that right mirror.
Let's
Never
go.
one time. That is not situational awareness.
Yeah.
You know, the other one, the scale that we hit up at Morton. Situationally, we weren't centered on the scale. You know, we were completely to the right side of that scale. I mean, it was a long ways off the right side of that scale. You know, we had another one. Situationally, we drove to the port of entry, had a air leak on our trailer. DOT wrote us up for it. You know, that's situational awareness. You need to know you're checking off. We've provided you with a pre and post trip inspection. You need to know these things,
Absolutely.
right? You have to be aware of your situation. That's why they call it situational awareness.
Yep.
Who's the captain of that ship? We talk
I
about
am.
this all the time. Right.
Who's going to carry the log?
I am.
Yeah, it's
Who's
just,
going to carry the treats?
Who's going to carry the boat?
yeah, and I mean, I know we're already jumped off in the weeds, but it is not meant to do that. And it may sound like that, but man, those one or two times we hit the old fence post, it's expensive. It's just, there's no sense in it. Just have to do a better job. So now we get to tell a dad
Let's
joke.
break the ice and tell some
both
jokes.
those accidents are costly.
Very costly. Thousands
Yeah.
upon
Yep.
thousands of dollars.
It is time for the dad joke challenge. Super Dave already said he probably needs to apologize. And you know what? I want to apologize. I want to apologize in advance too. Just because I'm tired of some of the attitudes. And I don't know if I'm going to be as nice as Jim. So, but speaking of being mean, go ahead, Super Dave. You already
Speaking of being mean.
So, you know, on Wednesday mornings, we all kind of sit down and try to pick out appropriate dad jokes.
Boy,
And I couldn't
we
find
didn't
any
used
today.
to, Dave. We used to just be like, "Oh, this is a corny dad joke. It's perfect." Now we're to the point where like we've got to come up.
We
with
need
better
to
ones.
offend
We're running
somebody.
out. I
Right.
know. It's
Right.
like we've really
Yeah.
tapped a lot of them.
Right.
So I decided to step up on to insulting jokes today. So let me tell you something. You're so ugly, you make onions cry. And you're so old, when you die, they won't call an undertaker. They'll call a paleontologist.
wow.
And you're so dumb, when you heard it was chilly outside, you went and grabbed a spoon and a bowl.
I might just be hungry.
Mic drop.
Wow.
Did you hear that? That mic dropped, man.
Yep.
That is funny. That is funny.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I offensive or not, but I was going to talk later in the podcast here about Omada by Cigna. I don't know how many people got an email from Cigna.
Is this a fat joke?
It is a fat joke. it's about dieting. So anyway, I keep trying to lose weight, but it keeps finding me. and then did you hear why the dietitian sent people to the paint store?
No.
She heard you could get thinner there.
Ah. Dang it. Man, I wish I got that
I'll
one.
follow that up. What do you call a pudgy psychic?
I think you told me downstairs and I can't remember.
Yeah, something to do with chins.
A fortune teller.
Fortune. 10-4.
But no, on a serious note, seriously, yeah, no. So when my son was home for Christmas, he had a buddy that just last minute, you know how the groups in high school, sometimes they get these deals where they get to travel to Spain or they get to go to Germany or something like that for like 2 quarters. And they actually get to do their high school education abroad for several months, you know. So he was a good friend of Sam's, but a year behind him. So Sam's at college. And anyway, this kid calls and he goes, "Hey, last minute, a kid fell out of this group. They've offered me to come to Spain for 4 months and finish my high school education over there. I know you're at college, but is there any chance you could watch my Chameleon?" And Sam's like, "Yeah, if I can't do it, my parents will. My mom's cool with that, you know." So anyway, this kid brings his chameleon over. Sam goes off to college. We're stuck with the chameleon, and it gets sick. It stops changing colors. So the wife has to take it to the vet. And she does this whole big rigmarole. I mean, it's a chameleon. Got to find this special vet to look at chameleons. And she comes home, and she goes through this explicit detail of how we have to break up this little blue pill and give a little piece of it to the chameleon every day. And I'm like, are you kidding me? What are you talking about? We have to give a little piece of a blue pill to the chameleon every day? And I said, what does it have? And she goes, erectile dysfunction.
That's funny.
You were biting on that, huh, Dave?
I almost stopped you in the middle of this and said, is this real? Dave? Did you guys babysit a chameleon or what? Because I know Janet's into like spiders and stuff.
She was.
And Sam's in college, so
Yeah.
man.
It fits, huh, Dave?
She was into spiders till we got married, and I said that was a conflict of interest.
Man, I just learned if you're on ED pills, like erectile dysfunction pills, Cialis, Viagra, any of those, you cannot take nitroglycerin if you have a heart problem. It'll kill you. So
Good to know. I'll have to separate those.
Because well, you should, Dave, because I've watched you give them watch them give you nitroglycerin. But I
They
don't
didn't
know
ask about the blue pills I'm sharing with the chameleon.
right.
that's funny.
Good thing Sam's out of town.
Right? Right? Exactly.
Hey, just so you guys know, I've decided to be less condescending. Super Dave, just so you understand, that's when people talk down to you.
You're so ugly, Jim.
Oh, man. That's so funny.
Super Dave told me, he's like, I'm going to tell some insulting jokes. I'm like, perfect.
Challenge accepted.
New employees, sorry for this, but our new employee is Damien Rubal. So sorry you had to endure that, Damien. Welcome to JFW.
Yeah, but we hope you're listening, or JR, or
Yes.
Kendrick. Everybody went over it. We need you guys to listen. New
We
guys.
hope you said the pledge with us and
Yep.
and are laughing at our dad jokes.
Yep. Welcome aboard. Oh, how about Kathy? You guys?
Oh,
my gosh.
Kathy Rutherford.
She started
Yeah,
on
Kathy.
Mondays.
Good
Yeah.
call. Man, I am so driver focused.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely. Kathy is one of the new persons upstairs to help with
Everything.
everything. Yeah,
With
accounting.
everything that happens upstairs.
Yeah,
She is
yeah.
an admin assistant.
Yeah, payroll and all that kind of stuff, billing and everything. So
There's
welcome,
Two
Kathy.
departments
Glad
here,
to have you.
upstairs and downstairs.
Yeah, the secret things go on in both places.
You know, she's been walking with a smile, so that's good.
Yeah,
That
that's
is
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah,
I
Absolutely.
didn't even see her yesterday. I was going to ask Joanne, did Kathy come in today?
she's
I hope
quiet.
so.
She's quiet. I mean,
Yeah.
that is the thing. Yeah,
She's like a ninja. Just
When she walks by, all you hear is paper shuffle.
anniversaries. Armando Del hit 1 year
Mondo,
yesterday.
1 year.
Happy anniversary,
Congratulations.
Armando.
Congrats.
Yep. Birthdays, Damien Rubal tomorrow. And then we have Ann and Jeff Soto have birthdays on Friday the 2nd. Happy birthday to you all.
yes. Happy birthday.
Then family birthday celebrations. This one's great. Kendrick's dad, Ted, he turns 90 years old tomorrow.
Wow.
Happy birthday, Ted, man.
Absolutely.
I'm guessing that's where Kendrick's going tomorrow.
90 times, what do they call it, around the sun?
Is that what they say?
I think
They
so.
say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, that's what they say.
So it takes a year to get around the sun?
No, I've
That
said
doesn't
it.
make any sense.
Let's look it up. Super Dave, you are the astrologer of the group. What does that mean?
I think
Takes
he's talking.
1 year to go around the sun, Jim.
It takes 1 year to go around the sun. I think that's probably correct. I think
Yeah.
it's science.
What are you talking about, Dave?
Because it sets over here and rises over there.
He's a flat earther, isn't he?
Flatlander.
That's why you don't have any cats.
Right?
Everything would be gone.
That's right.
Family birthday celebrations. We already got into Kendrick's dad. The next one, Juan Rosales' son Adrian turns 3 this week. Fabio's son Lohan turns 2 this week. Megan's son Mason turns 2 this week as well. And then Jonathan McKee's wife Alicia has a birthday coming up on Saturday.
Wow, very
So,
cool.
Yeah, happy
lots
birthday,
of family
kids,
birthday
and-
celebrations. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
The kids, man, that's what it's all about. Mm-hmm. Such a big deal for a
Birthdays
birthday.
are big for the kids,
Oh,
not
yeah.
so big for us.
Right?
Oh,
We're
man.
like, oh, another
Yeah, we
birthday.
can-
Are you
yeah.
kidding me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Skip
Bella-
that, huh, Dave?
Yeah. Except
Well-
for I did have my older sister, because I had a long talk with her on Sunday, I guess, and she said I was a baby. Okay. I'm only 4 years younger than you. I mean, come on.
Listen, I'm 51. My mom still calls me her baby. So
Well, you are.
yeah, and speaking of speaking of
Call
my
each other.
speaking of my mom
You're a baby, Jim.
and my stepdad Wilson, he's in the hospital. He's not doing that great. So if you guys want to throw a prayer out there for my stepdad Wilson, that would be much appreciated.
Absolutely, Jim. Is he still just the pneumonia? They're not getting.
You know, there's no fluid in his lungs anymore. There's just so much inflammation. Like he cannot be off oxygen at this point. He's getting like
I hope
10
he-
liters, 10 liters a minute, I think it is. Like the highest you could get with a nasal cannula. Like, yeah. So, and it's unknown why they're still doing tests. They don't know what happened. And yeah, I
Is he
mean,
Obviously-
ever a smoker?
not a smoker.
No, wow.
Obviously, if they're doing all the tests, it's not that RSV or whatever.
It's
that
not
causes breathing
RSV.
issues.
No, it's not. It is not. But it was pretty bad. I mean, his sisters flew into town. His daughter's in town. My
Wow.
stepsister, yeah.
Yeah, wish him the best.
Thank
Absolutely.
you. Appreciate that. Back on to some more positive news. Shout outs. Linda wanted to give an extra shout out to Ron Bugler for covering night cars the past 2 Sundays and Monday, and also to Chris Beam for covering this coming Sunday night.
Very cool. Thanks, guys.
Yep. Good job, everyone. I love this. So you guys just heard it was Armando Deval's 1 year anniversary yesterday. Got a text from him. Good morning, JFW family. Want to give a big shout out to everybody that wrote a thank you to my wife and sending her a gift card. From her own words, she was very surprised and very grateful. She wanted me to tell you thank you and for the card and letting Armando work with the best trucking company ever. Amen to that, from what he's told me. I don't know what exactly you guys do, except what he told me, but he seems to be very happy there. I haven't seen him like this in a long time. After COVID hit and he lost his job with oil and gas, it was tough for him, but I noticed that he's happy every day coming home, and he loves to tell me what he did that day and where he's going the next day. He loves to see the trucks when we're driving by I-270. He's like a kid when he tells me these things, and I'm just glad to see him smile again. Thank you all for what you do, and thank you for driving safe. I see the JFW trucks from time to time, and I always see safe driving. Thank you for the 1 year anniversary card, and if Armando is driving unsafe, please tell me, Jam, and I'll put him in his seat and make sure he's doing the right thing. LOL. Thank you again, and drive safe, everyone.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is awesome.
Wow, that is
Yeah.
just well written, well
Right.
thought out.
Yeah.
That is, yeah.
And it's true, man. You see Armando in the yard. I've never seen that dude in a bad mood. He's just always happy and
Just once when he had a little PTSD
wow.
with that driver on the road, remember?
Oh yeah.
You know,
Gotta-
losing his job in the oil and gas, that's the old saying, you know, when one door opens, another door, or when one door closes, another door opens.
That's right.
You know,
I'm a firm believer of that.
sometimes it's for a good reason.
That's right.
Yep. Armando had, I don't want to say a rocky start. He just needed some time off. Like him and his family had some medical things going on, and you know, it's good to see him work through all that and still be on board here.
Yeah.
You know, he's definitely a guy. When I see him in the yard, I smile.
Very cool.
Yep. He's got a good attitude.
He
Yeah.
does.
Yeah, and that's important to me.
Yeah, it is. I
You
got a
know,
couple-
it helps bring you up too when you see somebody and they're happy and bright. You know, they have bright energy. It helps you as well.
oh, for sure, for sure.
You know,
You usually don't avoid that person, but if
Yeah.
that person is that one that's just always got something negative to say,
Yep.
you definitely
Avoid that
do.
person.
Yeah.
Yep. You walk the other way.
Yep. I've walked out of the shop and I've walked right back in. I got, I heard you have one. Let me do one more here and then I'll give you
Sure.
the floor.
All yours, buddy.
We both have mics, so, you know.
I will pleasantly and cordially wait.
It's a really good one. It's from Jimmy Villagrana.
I'm not going to. I'm just going to interrupt you, Jam. With
Bam!
that.
I love it.
I don't want to interrupt Jimmy.
These microphones are not CBs. You don't need to key up, right?
I mean, this
I've been
is.
keyed up for 5 minutes now. What are you talking about?
I'm starting to wind up. Just want you to know, this isn't about me. Just 'cause Good morning. Happy podcast day. Sending some shout outs your way. And here's a Bible verse from Jimmy V. 2 are better than 1, for if either of them falls, one can help the other up. That's Ecclesiastes 4:9 through 10. With this being said, I want to give a shout out to 0049 Omar, 0020 Gerardo, and 003 Gene for helping me with at least 4 tons of shale stuck to my trailer last Friday. I wouldn't have been able to do it by myself. Without asking, they grabbed their shovels and jumped in my trailer. Thank you guys. And also wanted to give Ricky for helping over the phone, giving me some tips on changing out an airline that busted on my truck when I was in Monument headed towards the Springs. His help saved us both time, and he didn't have to come and rescue me. To all the new drivers, if you are in a bind, never hesitate to ask a fellow JFW brother or sister. I guarantee you, someone will always be happy to help. So.
Thanks,
Love that.
Jimmy.
Yeah, good.
Isn't that awesome?
Good
Yeah.
reference back to the Bible. I mean, how
Yeah.
true that is.
Yep.
And who jumped in and helped up there? Omar, Gerardo, and Gene. Yeah.
I just,
Very cool.
as I'm reading it, like I just picture them walking to the trailer with their
The
shovel.
shovels, right? You can
Right.
see that.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just let's go.
Yep.
Hi, Brother Dave.
Oh,
Spotlight's on you.
my turn?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go now. So, kind of a weird coincidence last night. My wife's nephew had senior night over in Aurora, and she was supposed to be here and pick me up. She got to running late, ran into a late project at work, and was running behind. And she was like, "Geez, is there any way you can, head out and go over there first?" And I'm like, "We don't have any spare vehicles at this yard. We do over at the other yard, yada yada yada." And it was funny. I was getting up and walking out of my office on the phone talking to her about doing, how to get that way. And Oswaldo was getting up and walking out. And Linda goes, "Oh, you and Brother Dave are leaving at the same time." And it just kind of hit me because I had ran into Oswaldo over there like a couple months ago. And he was like, "Brother Dave, what were you doing over there? Blah, 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 blah." And I'm like, "Oswaldo, are you going home right now?" And he's like, "Yeah." I said, "Would you give me a ride?" So, I mean, with like zero conversation or anything, Oswaldo's like, "Yeah," instantly. So he gave me a ride clear out the other side of Gun Club and I-70, on his way home, dropped me off at my nephew's or my wife's nephew's school. And we were there in time for senior night. And I beat her there by like 30 minutes. So
Nice.
it was just awesome, man.
Wow.
It was so fun just BSing with Oswaldo on the way out there.
How did you drive?
Fantastic.
We-
It was like an Uber ride because as I was talking to my wife on the phone,
You
I
sat
s-
in the back seat.
I was actually going to when we went out there because I opened the back door to put my stuff in. And I almost did that just to mess with Oswaldo, and I didn't, but I should have. But what I mean by that is, I said, it was unfolding as I was on the phone and Oswaldo was standing there, and I'm like, "Well, are we going to your sister's house or is the school by your sister's house? If I get to your sister's house, does that help?" And she's like, "No, you need to go to the school." And she said the name of the school, Vista Ridge, whatever. And Oswaldo's like, "Oh, I know where that's at." He says, "That's just down the street from me." And I'm like, "Okay." So literally, you guys, I got in his pickup. We never discussed where we were going. We didn't put in an address. He didn't have to follow anything. And
Did he play your music?
no. So anyway, yeah, shout out to Oz, man. Thanks for the ride. You're a rock star, buddy. You
He is.
I didn't have to do anything. I just got in the car and sat there like it was an Uber ride, like looking at my watch, going, "How long before we get there?"
I'll have to ask
You know what I mean?
Oswaldo because I know I gave you a ride somewhere. We went somewhere together recently, and the whole time you're in my mirror and looking this way. I'm like, man, I should have just let him drive.
And then my last shout out is to George, and I love how you say his last name, Dave. So you may,
Potgeeter.
there you go. I can't
That's
say
how
it
he
that way.
says it. When I just say Potgeeter, he always
Anyway,
corrects me.
I don't know what happened. He used to stop by and see us all the time in the office, and now he doesn't come by anymore. So, George, we miss you, man. If you want to stop by, stop by.
Wow.
We opened the door. I know because when he did stopped by. He was just fun to tease.
Yeah,
you know? But
yeah.
he's one of those guys that's always got a smile on
Yeah,
his face in the
absolutely.
conversation.
I'm writing this time down. Nah, George is awesome.
Yeah.
George
Absolutely.
is awesome. I think he's just been busy.
Ah,
Well, I know
Lots of coloring books.
Yeah.
I know through the holiday there or whatever, Christmas, I think he got back to go see some friends in Kansas. I think he went back. One of his first vacations he had since he's been here and stuff. So
South Africa or Kansas?
Kansas.
Kansas.
Yeah.
Yeah. George is,
Visited his brother in Kansas.
Gotcha.
yeah, George is a thing here. He is his own
Yeah.
personality.
That's almost like a bad dad joke somehow in there. How did like two South Africans meet in Kansas or something?
Wow. Any other shout outs, guys?
Yeah, I wanted to mention we had a meeting last week with Great West and then also with Eric from Flood and Peterson. And Flood and Peterson, I think we've mentioned him enough. And obviously, I don't know, does Eric still hold the record for the Flood and Pete for the
Yeah, I mean,
podcast?
I could look, and I will look while we're doing this and come back to it. But yeah,
Oh.
the only one close to him, I think, was Chili Dog. No, Paco, maybe Paco's.
Paco.
Paco's wife.
Yeah, everybody's
No.
heard Eric on the podcast, and you know what a great guy. And last week, he's the insurance agent, and Great West is the what do you call Great West? Is that the
Carrier.
carrier?
Yeah,
the
they're the-
carrier is
yeah.
the description of it. And anyway, he brought 3 people with him, and they were Heather, Larry, and Corey, and they were the captive group. And then we went over our kind of like a 6-month kind of review. on what we've done. But anyway, I just wanted to throw a thank you out to Eric for bringing the group and that group being here. A great meeting, so much information. They were engaged. They'd listened to the podcast. It was just a good meeting, and just wanted to when we have our vendors, I guess as such, I'd have to call them, that are engaged with what we're doing. It's a great partnership, and I know Eric. He pushes for that. He's
Eric's
there
a
to
rock
help,
star,
right?
He's a number one human being in my book.
Yep.
Good guy.
He's introduced
Good
us to a lot of
Great.
good people.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep. Speaking of Eric, he is still number one. That was episode 100. It was released on September 27th. It has 974 downloads.
Oof.
Episode 84, which was Paco when he talked about trades for my community and what led him there to help people out. That has 966.
Ooh, knocking on the door.
Wow.
Yep.
Very cool.
And then following that is Jesse Rodabaugh, then Casey Guthrie. Then we didn't have a guest. Al Fry is number 7 with 895.
Wow, he's really jumped up, Jam. I mean, I remember at some point he was like 750, and at the time he was the
number one.
leaderboard. Yeah.
Number 9 is Help Find Amber's Mom. And then number 10 was Pulling Weeds and Mental Health.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That Amber's mom, that one, that's a rough one for me, man.
Yeah.
I'm so vested in that.
Right.
And have never felt so freaking hopeless in my life. You know, I had no idea how many, when I say police officers, just people in police work that I knew, and detectives and state patrol and investigators, and none of them can help. And
Right.
this seems like the simplest thing to do. You almost want to take charge and just go vigilante and just start doing shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it is rough for me. I struggle with it, not being able to solve it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
naturally we want to solve it, but I want to see action. I want to have some police person, and I say that vaguely because, you know, we can't get Loch Buoy to do anything. And then, you know, there's these new things that have come up in Douglas County, and I have connections there, and that didn't help. And, you know, connections in Weld County, that didn't help. Connections in Broomfield, connections in Denver. And it's like, none of you guys can do anything. Right. And yet every single one I've spoke to, they look at it and go, these are bad guys. And nobody can do anything. It's almost as though they're more concerned about stepping on another police department's toes rather than solving a crime. which to me is just 100% backwards.
Right.
It really is frustrating.
It is. And
I feel sorry for Amber.
Absolutely. I was going to say, imagine how she feels, but we're so used to, let me put this in perspective. We got a problem with a part on the Kenworth, right? Everybody will look and be like, that's a problem. We don't have the part. Okay, well, we're going to pull some strings. I got a connection over at Peterbilt. Oh, Peterbilt don't work. Well, guess what? Jim got a connection over at PACCAR. That doesn't work. Oh, Mikey could ship one. You know what I mean? Like, like there's always... all we do all day.
He does that, though. All of a sudden, he comes up with the part out of nowhere.
Yeah, right.
All we do all day is solve problems.
Yeah.
And it's like, here's a problem, a big problem, a life and death problem.
Right.
And you just hit dead ends, and it's like...
That we have so many answers to, Jim.
Right. It's the government.
Yeah.
It is. It is the government.
It
like,
is.
Where else can you go? Like, if you go to motor vehicle and they tell you, like, we're not going to help you, you're not really the customer. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like a customer when I'm dealing with the government.
Right.
It's just like, all they got to do is say nope, and that's the end of it. It's like the buck stops there.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with Walgreens on a prescription now. Like, so I just can't believe the workforce. I'm getting off in the weeds here, but trying to find out where my prescription is. I call for 3 days, right? You'll be on hold for 10 minutes. Ring, 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 ring. You're next. Click. Right? For 3 days, right? Finally, I see I missed a call from Walgreens the other day. I'm like, oh, my prescription must be ready. Call, get the automated thing. It's under review. All right, well, let me call and see what they wanted. 10 minutes. All of a sudden, I hear, hello. I'm like, oh. I was like, is this Walgreens? Yeah. And right there, I'm just like, okay, like, I really need to speak to an adult.
Yes.
But I'm just like, she's like, what do you need? I'm like, well, I'm trying to call out to find out where what's your last name? Like, interrupts me. Now I'm getting, like, heated.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm so flooded, like, I don't even know what to do. I spelled my name. Well, what are you looking for? I'm looking for this. You come pick it up Saturday. I just hung up. I'm like,
It's unbelievable, isn't it, Jam?
Yeah, but now, like, if I want to, I could go there. I could go talk to a manager, which won't help because I looked at their reviews. It just sucks, right?
Yeah.
But I do, as a consumer, I'm able to, like, run it up the chain, go there, have a face-to-face, tell them it's unacceptable, and maybe the buck doesn't stop there. But when you get with the government or a cop, well, no, we can't do anything. That's it.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah, and I think if those like friends of Dave that he's mentioned, and they've been in the system so long, it's not that they probably don't want to help, but they're so turned off by the process.
Right.
They're as frustrated as we are, but they've had to work in it for 10, 20 years.
Right.
And how defeating is that? Like you guys said, we can pull all these strings, get a hold of these people, ask Mike to shit a turbo or something, and it gets done. You guys are absolutely right. It's a terrible process. I'm dealing with the state right now. Next month is our renewal month for our plates for the fleet, and everybody knows for your car, whatever month it expires in, you get a 30-day grace period. So you can pay for your stuff at the end of the month and get your plates. You've always had a 30-day grace period here in Colorado. So I've ran into a situation last year, and we kind of have the same situation going on this year. And we have the last couple of Kenworths, the 5 Kenworths, they're on the paper plates from the dealership. And when you sign up for the IRP, you get a 45-day temporary cab card, and then you can, and that's set up so that you can pay for your plates, right? They can ship them, they mail them, all the other stuff. And so I set the 5 trucks up to get their temporary cab cards Monday. And then after that, I started to renew the fleet because might as well turn on the information. It's going to be next month, right? Yeah. So I get this letter back that because I started to renew the fleet, they kicked the 5 trucks out. And what I need to do is, that's what the woman wrote me, what I need you to do,
push-ups, burpees,
right, and re-enter the 5 trucks, and oh, by the way, no temporary cab cards.
Wow.
Because you're in your renewal month.
Wow.
Well, our renewal month is February. Aren't we still in January?
Yeah.
And why don't you just, so what, let's explain that the temporary cab card won't go 45 days. It'll go only 30 or until your fleet renews. And so I wrote her back. I'm like, well, 2 of them expire Friday. What do you want me to do with those trucks? Not run them? And then the gist of it was that I think we have to renew the fleet instead of getting our grace period before they'll even let us do the 5 trucks, you guys.
Jesus.
And the renewal is $355,000, just so everybody knows.
Wow.
That's what plates cost for the trucks,
That's pretty much the cost
Yeah.
of my house.
right?
Shouldn't
And
the
to get no
individual
help.
registration be separate,
Right?
though?
Right.
This
You know what I
truck,
mean?
I'm paying for this truck, and then we'll do the others. It should all be separate.
And that's what and you're exactly right, Super Dave. And that's what I've ran into in the years past. That, man, when you're on this fleet and it's not even it is a fleet. That's when our trucks renew, all of them in February, and you can't do anything. The 1 year that I ran into it, and I've told the story, is we had a driver, or not a driver, we had a truck lose its license plate, and they wouldn't give me a new license plate because we were in February, our renewal month. And she goes, well, you have to renew the fleet. And I'm like, I don't want to renew the fleet yet. I just want a replacement plate that I've already paid for, and I want to be legal. And I threw such a fit, they gave me a letter that stated to give to the state patrolman that they can't give me a new plate because we're in our renewal month.
Makes no
And
sense.
so you're back to your government.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah, it's just frustrating. And then us, the way we want to serve people, the way we conduct business here, the way we treat our customers. So to get that treatment somewhere else is just like extra frustrating.
absolutely. It's just, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, what
back to your conundrum, Jam. Jackie ran into this at King Soopers when we were picking up some prescriptions. There was a big sign. It was like the middle of the day on a Monday, and the pharmacy was closed.
Yeah.
And the sign said they did not have a lead pharmacist, so they could not open the pharmacy. So I think pharmacists are in pretty short supply right now.
Right. Yeah, I've seen that sign at this Walgreens, and I just need to go somewhere else. So that's my plan. All right. Anybody else got any shout outs or anything?
Right.
No?
Grievances?
Yeah.
Let's jump into the discussion. Let's see who wants to kick off the JFW on JFW crime we witnessed the other day.
I'm out.
Which one's?
Rock Tub.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the
That's
accident.
so that is a crime on a crime.
JFW hate crime.
I actually thought you were talking about the crackhead that was walking up and down the street yesterday. Was that yesterday or
It
Monday?
was yesterday.
Yeah, I think she was a meth head, Dave. Get it straight.
Okay. I don't know the difference between a crackhead and a meth head, but
Oh, don't
Not
we
much.
don't we have also the video of the guy grabbing the flag that was stuck in the fence and burned it?
yeah.
What?
That's another crackhead.
Wow.
Yeah.
Didn't know about that one.
Yeah. Scooby's got that one, Jam. So
Wow.
But anyway, back to hopefully problems we can do something about. Is that what we do here? I know we sent the video out. I think it was in Paycom, right, Jam?
Yep.
And we showed a clip, and we purposely did that. And hopefully everybody's had some time to review those clips. Again, it wasn't to ridicule the driver, make fun of the driver, but because a lot of times we've blurred out the person's face so that there wasn't any ridiculing or anything like that, or thinking we were calling the person out. We couldn't in this instant because, like Dave mentioned earlier in the podcast, to move that truck, you have to look in the mirrors, maybe out the back window, in the front. We talk about having your head on a swivel. And in this video, the driver got in the truck and never looked out the right-hand mirror. I think he glanced left, but he glanced left at the driver that was at the scale that is his truck that he hit. So he knew that somebody was there. When he walked out, you couldn't miss the truck sitting beside you. And the driver was so focused on the phone, on his dash, that he just never looked. And I mean, when you watch the video, you guys, and again, hopefully you guys can go back. I mean, you see that driver's hood mirror just snap off. It explodes, and in the other video of the truck itself, watch the steering wheel. It's like a ghost is in the truck, rips it back and forth both directions. Then the driver still would never have known that he hit anything, except for our own truck stopped him. It was a moment of shock on his face when our
Because it
truck
would drag the front end of the other truck out.
it just wouldn't move the other 19,000 or 15,000 pounds truck. And you're just like, and then, will you guys learn this from this video also, or this experience? If you have a situation happen like that, stop. This driver never got out. He just decided to back up.
Yeah, we talk about that all the time, right? Stop. Just stop.
Stop. It's
Get out.
Yeah.
See what the best way to address it is. Just stop.
And the reason for that is because if you don't, you're likely to cause more damage.
Oh, absolutely, Dave. Right? What have you hooked? Because I think it either blew out or cut the trailer tire on the rock trailer that hit the other truck.
Did.
And then was that damage done when he backed up or when he went forward? Maybe we could have saved a tire.
Yep.
Or the fender or the rest of the mirror. It's just so. And you guys, we're not. All of us make mistakes. But what do you do with the mistake? And when it's, I got to call it blatant like that. But like you said, Dave, situational awareness is that nobody gets up in the morning to suck. Our old saying around here. He didn't get up in the morning to do that, but obviously it happened. And how do we fix that? I mean, everybody has to. What did it happen? Friday? I think Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it ate on me all weekend long, and then being an owner as much as me and Dave, and I know you guys are vested in this. The cost is just through the roof, you guys, and we're trying to make things better. And how do we continue to give out raises and bonuses and nice trucks when we just
Tear them up.
Piss money away.
What's eating at you, Jim, and maybe I'm wrong here. I'm putting words in your mouth, but it's what eats on me. It's what's eating on Super Dave. We talked about it. Kendrick and Casey and their emails and talking about the stuff is we don't know how to fix that.
I guess that's the
You've taken this standard. And I don't even say it's the bar. It's the standard. It's what's required of you.
It's what is required.
It's the minimum. We're just asking for you to do the minimum requirement. If you're going to move, you need to look in all your mirrors and forward and in front of you and behind you, and then move. And these things won't happen. But we don't know how to make you do that, right? That's
exactly.
And I think that's what eats on you. You can't solve that.
Well, that's why these companies, Brannan does it, I know this, but all of the oil field companies do it too. They make you put cones around your vehicle.
Yes.
So before you move,
Yes.
after you come out of a store or out of a building or whatever, you have to go around and pick up your cones.
We've talked about that,
Yeah.
Super Dave, and I think actually they get time off if they don't do the cone, get caught with the cone, or even fired.
Yeah.
But just like you're talking about that, I can envision this driver, though, Super Dave, going out, getting his cone that he placed out there, looking around his vehicle, going back, getting in the cab, and still staring at the dash and making the right-hand turn. I don't think in this situation that cone would have fixed it. Because it was his friend that was there. He knew the truck was there. He looked at the truck. If there's a driver at the scale, where do you think his truck is? He's got it on his shoulders and he carried it up to the scale. I mean, it just blows me away. I'm dumbfounded about the how simple to correct this, but we can't correct it.
Yeah, there's a difference between looking around and actually being situationally aware. There's a difference between hearing somebody speak and listening to what they're saying. So to your point with the cones, yeah, he may go get the cone and look around, but is it registering? Is he actually like not just going? It's a complacency thing, I guess. Like, oh, let me get the cone.
It's
Oh.
where his focus is.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. You know, and that's why I said last week or the week before, like, we're going along and everything's cool, and then you watch a video and you just feel violated, like, because we didn't teach you that.
No.
We didn't tell you, like, you know, hey, come on this team and do it the way you want to. We're pretty specific about the way things need to be done. The scary thing to me is, you know, yeah, it costs money, but that could have cost life.
Absolutely,
You know,
Jim.
if somebody's standing there, and I hate to play the what if game, but we got it, right? What if somebody was standing there and we got in between those trucks? You know?
You're spot on, Jim. Two drivers standing there talking.
Yep. Or one driver doing something, looking at something. The
Yeah,
trailers don't make noise when they're moving.
No.
You know, the trucks you could hear 'em. The trailers are silent. That could have been death. You know, that's how people get run over at intersections. You know, not saying the driver that ran the person over in a wheelchair was at fault, but that's the way that stuff happens. You're not paying attention to what's going on around you.
But again, and it feels like feels like with me making this statement, I'm blaming the guy in the wheelchair. But I just love looking at the what if, because if you're in a wheelchair and you're going in front of a big truck, you got to assume they can't see you, right? And so where's the
You and I would.
where's the right, Dave? You know, where is the accountability for that stuff? I just and you know I can say this, but I know we let the driver go because of that. But he had 2 previous violations of phone usage. I mean, we had a discussion, we last chanced, we worked with them and everything else, and we can't jeopardize. Wow, we can't jeopardize everybody here for that one guy.
Yep.
Or one driver or one person. We can't do that, and not when it's done like that.
Right.
Yeah. You know, Jim, on that thought, I was reading an article the other day. It was about social media and bullying with kids in school, and this to me is very parallel with that. This whole phone thing is so bad. You know, the things that come on the phone with the social media and the TikTok and all of the things that younger kids struggle with. I don't, because I never grew up with that stuff. I mean, we didn't even have computers when I grew up.
Exactly, Dave.
But man, it's just one thing after another really point to really bad things about these phones right here. You know, they cause accidents. I mean, people probably don't remember, but I remember when light rail first started running through downtown.
How many
that
people
like
they hit?
16-year-old girl that walked right out onto the tracks because she was looking at her phone. You know, it's it's not good stuff. We should all throw these things away.
You know, it's kind of funny, Dave. I hadn't thought about the light rail, but remember at each intersection, the guards weren't working, the arms weren't working?
Yeah, on the A line here, yeah.
For like the first year and a half out to DIA.
Yeah.
And they just had people stationed at each crossing. Remember that?
Yep.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That would have been a cool job. Just
Oh,
hang
my
out.
God.
Train's coming.
Yeah, there's a job. So how boring is that? How long do you sit there every day? But what if you didn't do your job?
Right.
If you fell asleep.
What if? And then somebody dies. It's on you.
Yeah.
You know, it is totally on you.
Who's the captain of the ship?
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah, exactly. And then I know, I mean, unless you have a different way of doing it, Jim, we also hit a scale this last week.
That's the way I would do it.
And because it's next on the list. But I have to, you know, and again, I'm going to make this statement. I don't want the driver, because he is still here, I don't want him to listen to this and think we're making fun or ridiculing. Right. I want everybody to learn from this. But I asked Super Dave, he hasn't been with us this long, but he's been doing a great job as far as I know.
He is a long-time driver, though.
That's what I was going to say. I understood from you that he was a seasoned driver.
Been here 7 months.
And so maybe the complacency of being a long-term driver, but he did, 90% of the stuff right. He pulled up. He was on the CB before that. He put the CB mic down, so He wasn't on the CB on the scale. He hesitated for just a moment. Didn't come to a complete stop, but pretty much
Really
just-
close.
oh,
very-
Yeah.
so close. So he's under control, right? There was not a speed, issue there of just come flying on, but he was just so off center. And from him, and hopefully he learns from this, which I'm sure he feels bad. But as he pulls on, here's another situation that he never used any of the tools we supply. That front mirror on the right side, never looked in it. That would have been the first thing is, holy crap, I am close to that bar.
Right.
He was comfortable, he was relaxed, but he wasn't doing his complete job.
Right.
And maybe that's a lifelong career of driving. He felt so comfortable in the truck, but it cost him the embarrassment of this happening, the money. Luckily we didn't damage the scale, which they usually build those arms so badass anyway. We usually don't, but we annihilated the truck.
Right.
And the box for the DPF, we dented the fuel tank. I mean, what do you remember what a fuel tank's up to, Dave? Because you don't weld those.
$2,500.
I mean, that's just
for
the
fuel tank
tank.
alone.
Not-
that doesn't
Not
include
including
paint.
paint.
Yeah.
Doesn't include our shop time. And
Pinstriping.
I'm really worried about the DPF box underneath.
brackets, right?
Because we took the brackets and twisted them. I'm worried we may have broken the bolts out of the bottom of the DPF mounts and the DOC under there. So we'll a lot of work. I mean, it could be a $10,000 dinger.
Yeah.
It really could. We're just I don't know yet where we're at.
Let me ask you this, because I was relieved when I watched the video. What if we watched that video and he was on the phone when that happened?
Yeah, there's the driver. It would be a different conversation. I don't
he'd be
think the
gone.
driver would be here.
He'd
yeah.
be gone.
Right.
Yeah, because he wasn't distracted. He was just complacent. And I don't, I try to look back at my career when I was driving. So there's that remark when I was a driver, but most of the time, and I've tried to convey this, that I had this little bit of fear because as the boss's son or my position, I couldn't screw up. I couldn't hit the scale. I couldn't, run around with a flat tire. I couldn't hit the truck beside me. I had to be hyper vigilant that I didn't give another driver an excuse either to make fun of me, pick on me, or, oh, he's an idiot. Just that was always in the back of my mind. So I was hyper vigilant to make sure my job was done right. And I don't know how to convey that kind of feeling. And I don't want people to run around with fear, as I stated, but to be the best they can be. We just upped the safety bonus by 3%. And, we've had an incident just recently on that where we've pulled somebody's bonus, but it's clear what the rules are, and things need to be adjusted, and or they don't think it's right we took the safety bonus. But I wanted to tell a story, Dave. What I'm trying to get back to is we asked people to do things for a reason, and we don't want to ask a bunch of times. And I have a story, Dave, and I know I guess I want it to be relatable, but I don't know how many years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. When did we take over the Boral contract, Dave? Super Dave?
That was definitely
like
2013. you had
One,
it.
wasn't it?
It was during the downturn, so it was like 07, 8, 9, 10.
You're right, Dave. You're right.
Somewhere in that window, Jim.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you're almost 20 years ago, okay? But the thing is about this is they sent the contract out, the bid, to 3 trucking companies. In the contract, it stated that our reply needs to be electronic. Well, not our reply. Everybody's reply needed to be electronic, okay? The other 2 trucking companies that were bidding on it with us were outstanding trucking companies. They weren't bad trucking companies. They were family owned. They had a reputation, everything else. And we replied electronically. And one of the other companies told me and Dave, because we discussed it, we thought maybe we could even break it up. We didn't have enough trucks to cover everything together. The other company said, did you go ahead and reply electronically? No. We don't do that. We don't have time to do that.
They have my rates.
Yeah, they have my rates, was the reply.
Wow.
And we replied electronically. That's what it said to do. And guess who ended up getting the contract? JFW.
Yeah.
And they said, we appreciate you following the directions. Because how do you think we did the rest of the work for that company?
Right.
We followed the directions. So when somebody tells me they did it not how it was asked, and then they look at me and go, "Oh, I would have done it that way if I knew I was going to lose my job."
Right.
I am dumbfounded. I am. Oh, I would have done it the way you ask if I knew I was going to lose my position.
Right.
Well, what sense does that make? You know, and me and Dave, we were blown away by that with the other two companies, that you were asked to do it a certain way and you just decide to do it however you want.
Right. I'm going to get into that a little bit myself. This, what you're telling me, reminds me of an experiment we did. I think we were in the 6th grade gym, and the teacher handed out everybody these instructions. And instruction 1 said, read all directions before doing anything. Number 2, go up to the blackboard, write your name. Number 3, go pick up this paper and put it. And it was like 50 steps. And then the last step said, thank you for reading all the directions. You don't have to do any of these things. And it was just a bunch of kids walking around doing aimlessly stuff because step 1 said read all the directions first.
Right.
You know, that's what that reminds me of. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I don't know. And I think to this day, and this story, I relive it because
It's awesome.
where would we be we wouldn't be here today
Right.
if me and Dave didn't follow directions.
Yeah,
Help me out, Dave.
You are so
'cause I'm
spot on, Jim.
angry,
I
but
wanted
I'm
to start
inside.
in the beginning because, and I'm not trying to correct you, but you said we took his bonus. We did.
Yeah,
we didn't. It's not up to us.
He didn't earn it.
He didn't earn it.
Well, the phone call was. You're absolutely right, and thank you for correcting me because you're spot on.
Thank you.
And I hate saying it that way, but that was the phone call we got.
Exactly.
Is why we took his bonus.
Yes, exactly.
And you're just
we didn't take it.
No.
You didn't earn it. So, and I guess that's kind of,
Yeah.
exactly the analogy you're using, Jim, is you're talking about putting the cart away, right? It's just the right thing to do. You're asked to do that. You're provided a cart rodeo arena storage facility, right? Carts belong 2 places at a shopping center, either in their little cart storage area in the parking lots, right? There's almost one in every aisle, depending on where you're at, or inside the store. So put the cart away. That's all we're asking. And it's funny, you can run into someone that you happen to show up and they didn't put the cart away and you witnessed it, and they give you the answer, well, I did it every other time. I just didn't have time this
Right.
time.
I usually do it.
I usually do it. Exactly, Jim. And yeah, that's where you're at, and how you do some things. And I love this, Jim. How you do some things is finish
the way
it
you
for
do
me.
everything.
Exactly. If you're not doing this, and this, you're not doing that, and that.
And that was my. I guess that's the same thing. Like when I would head to the port, or I would trade a trailer, or I would do anything, I had to make sure everything was correct because I couldn't spend the time in the port. I couldn't take that chance. And that's still how I feel. I mean, Super Dave, you said it for years. If I was going to the port, you checked everything out. Even if you've already checked things out, right,
Shoot,
Dave?
Jim, we used to stop 2 or 3 exits before the port, make sure all our brakes were adjusted.
Right. and we'd done our stuff in the morning.
Yeah.
But what if we have a broken one or anything? Why take the chance? And the responses we got on some of this stuff, well, it wasn't like that, or I don't know. It's just frustrating.
It just
The
happened when I
shop
pulled in.
didn't fix it. I got that response.
Yeah. Yep.
I used to get off at that same exit to go around.
Well, I'm guilty of that, Jim. I've went around the port because maybe something did break,
Right.
or maybe
But you knew it.
exactly.
You were aware.
So I didn't blindly go to the
Right.
port. I'm like, well, that's going to cost me some money.
You did what you had to do to
Yes,
stay out of trouble.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I know I'm 2,000 pounds over on my axle, but I'm okay on my gross, so I'm going to go to the port anyway. right?
Right.
It just doesn't. Man, you guys, we fight ourselves so much, and I want people to do what they're asked.
You just expect
I
everyone
have
to do the
what
right
I'm
thing.
asked. Yeah,
You expect people to do the right thing.
yeah. I mean, we can talk. Hopefully this is Kathy's first podcast she listens to. She was the one we talked about last week at the end of the interview. She pushed her seat in.
Yep. It's that little thing.
That one little thing. So how is she going to do everything?
Hopefully she puts the cart away.
Complete.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? That's
That should be a test before we hire anyone. We should hire a PI to follow him to the grocery store.
see if they-
I know a guy. Him and his wife will be out there with binoculars.
Maybe we can get them to help with Amber's situation.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we're down to.
I mean, if you ever really want to know somewhere it is, just hire child services. They find everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah, and I think I don't want to take your job, Jim. You do a great job.
No, do it.
But I got to go to the other thing on the list.
Let's keep, man, this is the best podcast ever.
He should be sitting at the head
I was
of the
going to
table.
say, this seat is warm if you want to come over here. I'll get you a water.
You know, I think too that sometimes people try so hard to do the right thing or get the job done that they make mistakes too, and the true mistakes. When you guys, we've been hauling out of ARS over here off of Smith in Quebec for quite a few years. Had a new driver go over there, didn't go in the right way, but assumed it was okay to cross the tracks because he was, I think in that situation, trying to get the job done.
Right.
You know what? Trying to get to where you load, but drove over the railroad tracks. And I know we had a conversation. We all need to learn from it. That maybe dispatch needs to give the better directions. Maybe a driver should have hollered out, "Hey, you're coming in the wrong way," whatever. But when the truck drove over the railroad tracks, not at a crossing, we bent the support bar for the fuel tanks underneath the cab, and I don't think the driver was not paying attention. I think he was just trying or really hard to get the job done. And again, I think at some point, like we say over and over, got to stop.
That's another situational awareness situation,
Yeah.
Jim. Because where you cross the tracks, there isn't one tire track
No.
over the tracks there. I mean, it's open railroad tracks he just crossed instead of crossing at the entrance or the exit or whatever. I think that's where a little bit of, I think a good word for it is anxiety. You're a little anxious.
Yeah.
And-
Nervous, yeah.
Yeah, and once he got over the tracks, he just pulled behind the truck that was still loading on the scale at ARS. It's not like he was holding anything up or anything at all like that. Just kind of a bad decision to not go to another area and drive over the tracks at a crossing, and go from there.
So here's a learning curve for everybody listening. And we covered this in our safety meeting with that driver. If you don't see any tracks, no other trucks have driven there, do not go there. There's a reason.
Right.
It could be unlevel, it could be soft, it could be anything. So if you're in a pit or you're on a job site or you're taking a shortcut like this case was, and if you don't see any tracks on the ground, it's not a road, do not go there. Everybody listen to that.
I mean, something we don't talk about enough is all the railroad tracks that we cross here.
Yeah.
None of us have any information, but yesterday morning, an Amtrak train hit a dairy farmer's, a DFA truck, right, at a railroad
Oh,
crossing
wow.
up in Weld County. And
I had not heard about that.
yeah, it's not good. I guess the Amtrak train derailed,
Yeah.
and I don't have any other information about that. I know it was unfolding
And
yesterday.
Never does it. It's kind of like a truck and a car tying it up. Never is it a good outcome when a train and a truck ties it up.
Exactly,
Yeah,
Dave.
my
And-
understanding was minor injuries, milk everywhere.
yeah, I bet. With the train derailed.
Yeah, the engine came off.
Okay, that was it, not the rest of
Yeah,
the.
I pulled up some pictures yesterday. Let me look while you're
Gotcha.
talking.
Yeah. Either way,
Not
you just
good.
don't show up and that's not a 3,800 pound Mazda Miata. You
Yeah.
just don't lift that locomotive back up on the tracks, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And what track damage did it do, and what damage is done to the locomotive, and lives at risk. And we cross the one tracks down at Plant 13 every single day, multiple times.
2 tracks.
Out at Plant 12 on Chambers, we go across the light rail all the time. You have to realize you're 50 feet long. You can't be left on those tracks at any time. It is so dangerous, and we really don't do a good job about talking about it. And when that happened yesterday, I thought, boy, we need to earmark that and talk about train crossings. And I'm sure there's multiple places up north at the pits. I think, don't we cross the train tracks there going into, I still call it Pit 28. What's it called now? The Brandon pit that we're dropping the rubble at. I still call it Pit 28. It's changed.
Plant 11 or something
I think
like that.
you're right,
Yeah.
Dave.
Yeah.
Pit 11.
Pit 11?
It's Pit 11.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with Plant 11.
Oh, yeah. It
Yeah,
is
and
Pit
that's
11.
where
But we do cross tracks. on that
absolutely, yeah.
road,
That
county
whole
road.
that whole north south corridor there on the east side of 85. So
Yep.
yeah, a lot. There's just a lot to what we do, and that's the reason we have to have that vigilance of situational awareness. We can't be distracted by our phones. We can't be distracted by the things going on in the cab. You have to be doing your job. 18 wheels are turning or 14 wheels are turning, just so someone doesn't go, we don't have 18 wheels, but you understand my point, right? There is a lot happening. There's a lot of movement. You're 65 feet long. You're 10 feet wide at the mirrors. You're a lot of movement, and it's become so easy to drive these trucks that I think we lose track of that. It really is easy, and that's not to belittle anyone. I'm not saying it's an easy job at all. What we do is a hard job. What I'm saying is it's easy to move that truck.
Right.
It's become very easy.
So I do stand corrected. It's a little more serious than I thought.
What's that, Jim?
It's more serious than I thought.
I just thought I heard you say I stand corrected.
I stand corrected. I am wrong a lot. I have no problem admitting because it happens.
My wife and I have that little rule. I'm sorry,
Just
you're
gotta
right. I'm
say it
wrong.
one more time. If they tell you you're right, they just want you to shut up. If they say that's right, that means they agree with you.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Gosh,
Yeah.
man.
Huh.
Almost
About
30
the-
years of marriage. I'm still learning. I don't think I'll ever get it.
Oh, that's funny. The Amtrak worker has life-threatening injuries. So
Wow.
yeah, and then there was 3 other minor injuries. I don't know if the truck. Oh yeah, the truck was loaded, carrying 10,000 gallons of milk, and so 4 injured total. There was 69 people on the train. Could have been much worse, but yeah, the engineer or the guy running the train has life-threatening injuries.
Wow. And we don't even know what happened. You know what I mean? Right? I mean, we don't know if a crossing didn't work or
Well,
the truck
there are
crossed
no
illegally.
there are no crossings. there.
Yeah, up in
That's
Weld
all that-
County, I bet
Yeah.
you there's just signs.
From what Tracy was telling me, the guy was training. So there was 2 DFA employees in the truck. This is all speculation, everybody. It's word of mouth, third-party hearsay. He was training, and it sounded like, I don't know what happened. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Hey,
Yeah.
guys, I have to bring up, we're talking about railroad tracks and all the other stuff, and I didn't remember it in the podcast when I missed, and then I'm 90% sure we didn't talk about it last week, but we wet. Wow, I can't even talk today. We wet
Wow.
our pants today. What about? I don't think it's a problem, but
Charlie.
I mean, did we talk about the railroad tracks up at Coors?
Not
Did we-
publicly.
No, did we go over that? Because there again, we had no choice. We had to let Charlie go after him being here. I think coming up on 8 years,
9 years in May, Jim.
9 years in May.
It
and
was a rough one.
he had a video. It didn't feel good, but his video from him in his cab, the lights went to flashing and all sorts of stuff, and he proceeded through the crossing anyway
At Coors.
and the crossing arms came down, and he bent them or broke them, whatever.
Broke the one off.
Broke the one off, and then Coors was involved, the safety team at Coors, Ryder that runs all the transportation. I know Dave and Jam, you had to go to a special meeting with
Riders,
Coors
the
and
rail
Ryder.
crew. Yeah.
JR had to go down there. For
Yeah, and
something
then
else.
we
Scoop.
sent Ricky
Yeah. Oh yeah, Ricky and JR. Yep.
Yep.
And we haven't talked about it. And a person lost his job over it, you guys, but we had no choice. Our hands were tied on that situation.
Yeah.
And so everybody that goes to Coors, I don't know how much, it just feels like we just brushed that under the rug. You need to fully stop at every stop sign. Make sure the arms aren't coming down when the crossing lights. And again, that's just not paying attention.
Yep.
And this is serious stuff we talk about.
Absolutely is.
One thing we brought up, and I had dispatch reach out to the majority of the same people that run Coors, Jim, but you're right. I mean, we totally swept it under the rug, or just moved on from it, I should say. It's not like we were trying to hide anything, but we just moved on from it, I think, because it was kind of a gut-wrenching experience for us. But when you stop at that stop sign to cross those tracks, there's only one stop sign at Coors at the tracks. There's another stop sign when you cross the creek to go over to the can. But the only stop sign there when you're leaving the scale going over to the can is at the railroad tracks, and then when you cross the bridge. So at the railroad tracks, this is a poor description, but those railroad tracks are almost an S turn. Mm-hmm. And you're stopping in the middle of the S. Mm-hmm. And that's a poor description, but I hope everyone can understand what I'm talking about. Right. If you're in the middle of the S, you almost have to, depending on which direction either direction, you have to look off to the left in front of you one way, and you have to look off to the right behind you, because you're in the middle of that S. So coming or going, it doesn't matter. You need to look behind you to the right and ahead of you to the left. That way you can see the train from either direction, because you're in the middle of that S. It's not just one straight line like I would almost say every other railroad crossing is that we cross, right? So yeah, you should not just plan on stopping at that stop sign. You need to stop at that stop sign and look both ways. That's the hiccup with that sign, or with that crossing. Mm-hmm. You have to stop and look both ways. But here again, situational awareness, the way we were taught when we got our license, don't you do that anyway? Don't you stop at a railroad crossing and look both ways before you cross? You're supposed to. That's the situational awareness part. So
I think the reason why we had to do what we did was that, first of all, the stop sign itself is ringed with lights, red lights, around the stop sign. And then there's
flashing.
Also the big railroad crossing lights.
Yes.
And the driver said, I didn't even notice the lights. So he was on remote control. He was complacent. He was in la-la land.
The goal was to barely stop at the stop sign and go.
We can't have that.
Right.
There's lives involved.
By the way, it was 2 locomotives and 8 passenger cars that derailed.
Everything, 2 engines,
2
and
locomotives plus
8 passenger cars. Was that the whole train, Jim?
There was 69 people on the train, so does that...
Sounds like it.
Yeah. Wow.
Now, I don't know, that derailment means...
Whereabouts does the article say?
Keansburg.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Very scary.
Yeah.
Very scary. You don't think it can happen to you until it happens to you.
Well, isn't that the truth,
You
Dave? That the old saying, that'll never happen to me.
Right. Right.
And then boom.
It won't
Until
if you're doing your job. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, we can't really talk about this with blame, on the DFA thing, because we don't know what happened, right? I mean, we truly don't know what happened, so we can't really talk about that with any blame whatsoever. But we can sure make people think about what we're doing.
Something to do with complacency, don't you think?
I don't know, on the railroad side or on the...
Well, the train has the right of way, buddy. They can't stop, but the truck sure can.
How fast were they going, Dave? Have you checked the speed
train
through there? What's the train
truck?
need to slow down to?
Well, I don't know where it was. All
How
I know
fast
is
do you
that
go
it
through
was
those
in
intersections? Must be the trucker's fault.
I would bet on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you had to bet, who are you going to bet against or for or on or however, Dave? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been to train driving school, but I don't know if they're like, hey, when you get to an intersection, make sure there ain't no big trucks there. I've been to driving school where they're like, you better damn make sure there ain't no trains coming and you might die.
At train driving school, they just ask you to if you're getting close and there's a truck on the brake, just hit your pinch valve.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many videos have we seen where a train's hit a truck?
Right.
Oh my gosh.
On social media?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dave's not on social media.
It scares me to death. It is.
Yeah.
Because like you
Not-
said, Dave, you know
Not a
who's
good
losing.
Outcome, no.
Yeah, you know who's losing. Yeah.
So I see a common thing in the outline, and some of the things are more serious than others. I'm going to jump down just a bit to treating things like they were yours. And I'm giving an example, okay? And this is, again, not to ridicule, it's to make everybody better. Okay, the other day, driver comes, maybe a couple weeks ago, he's got a dead battery. Mentions it's been dead before, okay? All right, write up your batteries. Let's make sure you got good batteries. This Monday comes around, hey, my battery's dead again. Okay, did you write it up? No, I didn't write it up because of this. And my point was, let me ask you, if you came out of your house 2 or 3 times and your battery's dead in your car and you had to jump it, what would you do? Super Dave?
Make sure I have jumper cables with me.
Okay. This way you can keep jumping it. I know the whites. Maybe
I'll help
some
you
of
out,
them
Jim.
different.
I'll help you out.
What would you do?
I'd probably replace it with my batteries.
Or at least have it
Depends.
tested
As
or
long as
looked
you
at.
had like $150 to replace that battery.
Right.
It ain't
Well,
cheap.
well, guess what? Here at JFW, you don't have to have any money to have your battery replaced. We'll do it for free. Wow. Yeah, JFW has to have money. You don't.
And check it.
Yeah, and you don't have to do the work either. You just have to take a pen and write on a piece of paper, check my batteries, they keep dying, right?
Check my batteries.
Same thing with the inside of the cabs. We let that one driver, well, he quit actually. That one driver, he was treating the cab of his truck like a dumpster.
Right.
Like, would you do that with your brand new vehicle?
Right.
Most people would not,
He
Yeah.
would.
right?
Just knowing what I know about that guy. Yeah. I bet his house is like that. His car is like that. Kind of like Pup.
Talking to another driver the other day, he was coming down the hill fast, set his cruise control at 48 miles an hour coming down
What?
Floyd Hill. Yeah,
What's the speed limit?
speed limit is 45
So I'm just going to set my cruise higher?
at 48. Yeah,
Why?
what's the problem?
Well, Cruise is going to let it run up to like 55 before
Right.
it kicks
How
out.
about 60 miles an hour? How about he got up to 60? Okay, and when we asked him, you know, who is your trainer? He told us. What did he teach you to set your cruise at, or what did he teach you to come down the hill at? 45. Okay. Why did you decide to go at 48? I don't have a good reason.
Well, at least that's a good answer.
He was honest.
Yes.
He was honest.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that.
He was honest, right? You know, JR explained we don't really even like to use cruise coming down a grade.
I think it's wrong.
Some of these drivers do like to do that, and that's a personal preference. But why would you set it higher than the speed limit
Right.
when you know there's a speed zone there?
Right.
You know, and was glancing at his phone coming down. That's when he hit 60.
Ouch.
Yeah. That was another, just so you guys know, another disqualification from safety bonus. Okay.
Ouch.
So my point is, we got to do things the JFW way. You got to come down the hill at the right speed. Go ahead, brother Dave. I can
Where does
see-
that safety zone start again?
At the big sign with the flashing lights.
How big is that sign?
It's a 5x10,
What color is it?
yellow.
Is there a definition of yellow?
Is there a grace period?
I think it's caution yellow. even,
Right, caution
right?
yellow. There you go. Right, we got to come down the hill at 45. You got to stay off your phone. You got to go in the entrance, not the exit. You got to do things the way we taught you. You got to do your pre-trip. You got to do all these things, right? So my question is, when Super Dave interviews everybody, which is most people, if not everybody, if he gave you the spiel and was like, all right, well, we're going to offer you the job, and you said, okay, well, I'm going to accept your position, but I just want you to know I'm not going to do 45 coming down that hill. I'm going to do what I want. Probably set my cruise to 48, you know, or I'm going to treat the cab of this truck like a dumpster, just so you know, right? Or I'm not going to want to go get the last load at Plant 13 because it's too late, but I'll complain about money every other fucking day. Sorry. Sorry.
That's okay. You're just passionate, Jam. I
Yeah,
appreciate
that's-
that.
Grinding your gears. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's like a one-way street that I'm seeing, right? If you told us all these things about what you're not going to do, or you're not going to run plants, or you're not going to obey the speed limit, or you're going to use your phone, Super Dave, would you hire them?
No, Jam, I would not.
Exactly.
They would not help make JFW a better place, and they would not be safe on the road, nor would they be a good teammate to work with.
Exactly.
And why do we care about?
But I'm on a roll.
Go ahead.
I'm
Keep
on a roll.
going.
Vice versa, right? We told you we're going to start you at 31%. We told you paydays are Tuesdays. We told you we have a 5% safety bonus, right? Well, what if Tuesday rolled around and then you didn't have your paycheck yet? Or what if, you drove safe for a quarter and we decided to only give you 2%, right? We're not doing what we said, but we can't do that. If we don't do what we said, it's a big deal, But we're going to give people grace. Okay, well, you did 48 this time. You did 60 this time. You broke this time. It's not a good relationship, I guess, is my point. Go ahead, BD.
Why do we ask people to be safe on the road?
A few different reasons, right? One, obviously, for life. Number two, property.
Life's at risk,
Yeah.
right? Life is at risk.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
why they call it safety.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you started to say property damage,
Yeah,
all
life,
of that stuff. Yeah.
property,
And
reputation,
right.
problems with DOT, all the things that make JFW stand out as a good company. Look at the shout out that Stephanie Del Val gave us for being a trucking company that her husband is happy working at,
Right.
and that we do things different. And every time she sees the JFW truck, we're doing the right thing, right?
Yeah.
Because for the most part, we have good people that are safe
Absolutely.
and want to do a good job.
We have amazing people.
And,
Yes.
and that letter from her, that's all at stake.
Yeah.
I mean, if that letter didn't make you feel good about working here,
Right.
then you're probably not the person that should be here, honestly.
Yep.
Because by our actions we've put that letter and that feeling all at risk, and who
Yeah.
wants to risk that?
It's so true. How many times do we talk about if one driver in a red JFW truck isn't doing it right, then 99 other drivers in red JFW trucks are that guy
Right.
also.
There's
that
that JFW truck,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
One is the same.
The
Yep.
perception.
One is everybody.
Absolutely. And to the general public, they don't know there's a difference between a Pete or a Kenworth or a Freightliner or a Western
Nope.
Star. They see that red JFW truck and it's a red
They're all
JFW
the
truck.
same.
They're all the same.
Yeah.
I do have a question for you guys, because this is where we lose touch with the road in situations like this. And what I mean by that is we're not out on the highways and byways and roads every day. And I guess my question is, and I don't know where that happened at the 45 mile an hour zone, Jan.
Genesee.
Okay, so it was prior to where they're doing all the construction at the new runaway truck ramp?
I can't tell you that for sure. It was a
And
45 mile.
I haven't been
zone.
through there, and I know we talked about it. Gosh, it's probably been a month ago now.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that area under construction? And isn't it a slower speed? Not Genesee, but just down between Genesee and
There is that
and
one
the Morrison
area. If
exit
they're
there,
not done yet.
where the runaway truck ramp is.
Yeah,
Well,
I thought
mean,
it was 35 through there.
I guess that's
because of the
I
construction.
guess that's my question, you guys. Is we lose touch? We're not driving through it every day.
Right.
Right? I mean, I don't see it. I haven't been up that stretch of highway in ages.
Yep.
So, maybe that's something we need to have somebody give us a little FYI, and we should, post that out where it's like, hey, just a reminder, because we did here about a month ago, but I don't think it was like the day it was starting. Has it started? Is there an S in the traffic curve right coming down? Is State Patrol, they're going to watch that area more? Are we more at risk coming through there? That's where we need our people to share with us. Go, hey, this is happening in this area. We need to watch out so none of us do something wrong and make us better, because that way together we're the JFW family, right? We're going to face and overcome all that stands before us.
Yep. I agree. Well, anything else on that before I get into safety bonuses? Jim, you good?
Nah, I think we're hopefully we're covering it.
Yeah,
and
and I think it just leads right into the next part.
Absolutely.
The 5% safety bonus, right? The 5% safety bonus is for the elite safety champions. It's for the people that are doing it right without any excuses. You didn't do it the right way, you didn't earn the safety bonus. That's it. 5% is significant, and yeah, we bumped it up, and we haven't changed the rules, but we are going to enforce them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think I guess when we talk about complacency and maybe you're a person that's never lost it here, and this time you lost it. That again, that's not our fault. That's your fault. And then possibly wanting a pass, maybe you need to reflect on yourself and go, I've become complacent. Look, that's on me. I mean, a lot of times we get that from so many people is, no, that was on me. I screwed it up. I should have heard that.
I own it.
I should have had a buddy check it. I should have done something. But, we hear so many, it was always like that, or it was just a little early. Oh, the officer had a hard time hearing it. Well, does any of that matter?
Right.
Does it? It's still.
Did you
not,
do it the right way?
Yes, and hopefully the bonus is if you did lose it this time, maybe it's a learning opportunity.
Right.
But we are making you learn by you losing money,
Yes.
and we lose money every
All
day.
the time. All the time.
All the time. So why are we here? Trying to teach,
Yep.
trying to save ourselves some money. I mean, it is not, and of course it's all about the drivers. And Mikey has special meetings every Mondays or Tuesdays with the mechanics. There's a group of guys that really, can cost a lot of money. But let's say the wash bay, they're not out in the public. They're not. Do they do a great job? Are they needed? Are they important people? Yes, but their things they do aren't quite as risk. So we're not bringing them up.
Right.
They're not hitting the scale. But the mechanic, you can leave a tire loose. You can mess up an overhead. You can. I mean, there's so much there. But like the office,
Catastrophic failures.
catastrophic. Do we talk about, let's pick on Joanne or Ann. If Joanne mostly does payroll, well, she either overpaid you or underpaid you. Can we fix that pretty easily? And did that cost money?
Right.
And did you come to us when you're overpaid the same way you came to us when you were underpaid?
Exactly.
Man, I'm missing $5 out of my check. They gave me extra $500. I hope they don't notice.
Man, did you push the cart in, Jim?
Right?
I mean, or the chair in or put it away or, there's, I don't know. I want to change the tone of it, but for the new people listening, this is what we face, and for the people that have been here a long time, watch out for the complacency. Dave loved to tell that story, and we've lots of time about the helicopter guy. He jumps out and saves people's lives every day, and look what he's done for people's lives. And that one time, he just skips a step and doesn't hook his carabiner, and falls out of the
Jumped
helicopter.
out for the last time, didn't he?
Jumped out for the last time, and you can't fix that.
Right.
It's gone. So
No doubt. All right. Next on the list, part of the transition from going Albert Fry and Sons to Martin Marietta will require all trucks to obtain a new tare weight before their first load at each location. After this, trucks will revert to their normal cycle for getting tare weights. What that means is if you haven't been to Wallstrom,
Corey,
the Wallstrom Quarry, the Martin Marietta Wallstrom Quarry,
AKA Fry Pit 6,
AKA
right?
Fry Pit 6. So if you haven't been there from the day before that, like if you haven't been there for the transition and you are just going there now, you got to get a tare weight. If you haven't been to, I don't know, is that one plant over the hatchery?
The hatchery, yes,
Right.
Jan.
So if you haven't been to the hatchery and you show up there this week, you'll have to get a tare weight, but you'll also have to get a tare weight on your normal schedule.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and
I did a bad job explaining that.
I'm confused.
I did a good job reading it. That made a lot of sense, and I should have just shut up.
They sent out a letter, Jam, is what
Right.
you're getting at. That's where we got this piece that when they took it over, and as of that date, they're expecting everybody to get a new tare weight because they're a new company
And a new computer system.
and a new computer system, and they would like that stored in there. But they were reassuring us that they're not going to ask for a tare daily. It will return to how Albert Fry was doing it. They just need to get it in the books, in their books.
So once.
So never.
Well, even Al asks once a year at least,
Right.
But again, he explained the weigh system up there and all that
Right.
stuff, and
His tare weight is like taxes once a year.
once a year, right? Right. You could lose and you could win. But I want to mention too, when I seen that for Martin Marietta, and Martin Marietta owns Spec Ag and other different pits, and we haul out of that. But that's a brand new owner of a quarry that we've hauled out of for years. So they have some things they need to learn. We need to learn about how they're going to run it. But the thing is, to me, that I would mention to everybody is that's a new customer that we have to show the JFW way.
Right.
When they bring their employees in, you might be the best friends with Bashu, but what if there's a new scale person?
Right.
How are we going to act? Are we going to go, oh, Albert Fry did it this way, F you?
Somebody will.
Yes, somebody will.
Not us.
Not us.
Guarantee a lot of people have already, probably.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
And, we have to learn, but we have to show them how good we are so we can learn how good they are. Spec Ag it's always been a nice pit. I mean, we've hauled out of there for years. Good loader operators, respectful loader
Very
operators.
professional, yes.
Very professional. They ran 2 scales. We were hauling out of there tonight years ago, had 2 scale people. They move, they get it. But give them a chance to get their legs underneath them and run the quarry. Right. And sure, they're going to have changes because they're a business. Everybody does things different,
Yep. Absolutely.
So pay attention to that, and obviously, just from that letter we got, they're going to work with us.
Yep.
They don't expect to tear every day.
Right. One thing I noticed the other day, had a driver, well, I didn't notice, the driver noticed, had a driver call me the other day. He said, hey, every time I put the truck in drive, the horn's going off. I'm like, oh, okay. That's kind of weird. And, I was aware that if the door's open, that the horn will go off, but his door was shut, and it was on one of the new Western Stars. His door was shut, but I was like, Chris was right there. Chris Singler was like, Chris, you know anything about these horns going off when they put the truck in drive? He's like, yeah, he needs to roll the windows down and slam that door. He's like, it just needs that
Not
little
fully
bit.
latched.
It's not
Yeah,
fully latched.
so don't slam the door. Just crack your window and the door will shut easily
There you go.
because the truck is so tight. You know what I mean? When your windows are up, the door won't close completely.
That makes sense. Don't slam the door. Just roll your window down. Close it normally. Thank you, Super Dave.
I guess that's
Have
a
you guys
little-
ever seen those memes where, yeah. So,
Nope.
like
never
way
seen
back
that
in
one.
time, I dated this girl. And she got in my pickup and just slammed the door, and then she went somewhere else and did something else, and I'm like, oh my God.
Right.
In this meme, the guy can't figure out how to help his girl keep from doing that, and she parks his car. She drove his car one time, just ruined the wheels on the passenger side because she pulled up and just rammed his wheels down the
Right
curb,
down the curb.
and ruined the
Yeah,
wheels
white walls.
8 inches up and the tires and all sorts of stuff. So he takes this analogy. He takes her, I don't even know a brand of shoes, right? These really expensive women's shoes, and he takes them out and shows her and rubs them against the concrete and screws them up, and she's like, oh my gosh, we can't do that. So then the next time she parks the car, she gets out and she's a foot from the curb, and then she closes the door real softly, and it's a cute meme when you watch that, right?
Yeah, you watch those other memes, Dave, where your girl or whatever gets in the car, but she drags her feet across the door sill.
Yes,
and
yes.
then the next little clip is you're out there with her head going, rubbing the marks off the door seal, or grabs it, shuts it with your hand, and
Yeah.
the other good ones are getting on the motorcycle and she drags her foot across your seat on the motorcycle, and the next scene is the guy's got her head down there too, scrubbing it off with her forehead, yeah, those are funny.
They are funny memes.
Yeah.
We digressed there a little bit,
I love it. We never do that.
right?
Jim, I know you got a couple more things for the discussion.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw out there when I did my diet jokes, and I mentioned OMADA, OMADA is what an email I got from Cigna, and it looked like I'm going to call it a diet program. You guys, I did sign up. It says it's a $700 value. When I signed up, I actually get a free scale sent to my house, obviously for free. I said that, but it looks like it's going
do you
to have. I got a free scale. Going to tell me how much I'm really overweight.
And a free scale for you, and a free scale for you.
It sounded like everybody could get a free scale, Dave.
And a free scale for you too.
But the thing about it is that when I signed up, they asked some details. How much weight would I like to lose? What's been my problems in the past? And I think it looks like they're going to put you with a group of people, and I'll get an email this Sunday, and it's a conversation about what your habits are. Do I go home and I snack every night? Are you fighting something, possibly with your partner and you're stress eating, or what kind of foods are you eating? It didn't show that it's like, oh, if you eat only, my carnivore diet, you'll lose a bunch of weight. It's a discussion to try to hold you on track, and it's free. So anybody, I just wanted to make everybody aware of it, that it's called Omada. It's sent out by Cigna, and you guys, if you're interested, I know Chris Beam, I'll bring you up because I know you were walking a lot and busting your ass. You've lost a lot of weight, and you were doing that through Kaiser. I think this is the same thing. So maybe get the email and sign up for it. So anybody that's concerned about the health, and I'm not calling anybody fat. I'm fat. It's better if you're lighter. At my age, if I could get 20, 25 pounds off, it's going to be better on my joints.
It's another
my
program
activity.
to help you be better, right,
Yeah.
Jim? And
Yeah,
it's
and that's
free.
all. It's
I mean,
free.
we talk about free money all the time.
Yeah.
This is free money. This is a $700 value.
That's what they
If we
said,
walked
Dave,
up and
yeah.
handed you $700, would you not take it? Right?
Yeah.
The free scale. And I was snickering earlier, Jim, because I just have this vision. Years ago, I don't know that it's still on TV, but you remember that show, The Biggest Loser?
Yeah.
And they had a couple twins on there, and
The two brothers.
yeah, and I
Well,
remember
obviously
they,
were twins.
you talk about, you write down your diet and what you're eating and stuff, and I was dumbfounded, you guys, because
I remember it.
they would sit down, and I'm joking, like their biggest thing was to watch the Magnum PI reruns or something like that, and they would sit down with a 2-liter bottle of Pepsi and like a 2-pound block of cheese.
But they started out. Remember, they said, "Well, and I have some cheese."
yeah.
Remember, Dave?
And I thought to myself, okay, you're just eating cheese. For me, that's a little bit odd, like chips or a snack. This was a 2-pound block of cheese.
was a block of
and
cheese
a 2-liter bottle of Pepsi. They would just take a hunk of cheese off and eat it. And I was like, wow, all right, that's probably not the healthiest diet.
No.
We used to have a driver here, and he would say that when they would order pizza, he'd have one whole one, and his girlfriend would have one whole one.
No.
Could you imagine that?
That's a lot of pizza.
After taking care of yourself, physically, mentally, all that kind, safely,
Yeah.
all that stuff, it's important. So yeah, anyway, guys, if you got that email, look it up. If you don't, maybe I can ask Joanne if Cigna can resend it out or anything about it. But
Do you know, Jim, is that only if you've registered at Cigna, is my guess?
I'm pretty sure
So
because
even though we've provided you with Cigna, even though you have a Cigna account, even though you have Cigna insurance, if you haven't registered, you're probably not going to get that.
actually I can say yes because when you sign up, they ask you for your Cigna ID. So you're not, and if you didn't register, you haven't gotten your card, right?
Yes.
I mean, if you've done the app, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. I guess that's what I'm trying to
Yeah.
get at. If you haven't downloaded the app, you're not going to get the Omada.
no,
Yeah.
nope.
Not going to get the Omada email. So,
Nope. So, yeah, and-
Cigna can't send you something if they don't have your email.
Yeah, and important. And I haven't. I've just signed up, you guys. I haven't done it yet, so it might be. I doubt it's a joke, but it may not be what somebody's looking for. But it's interesting for me. Maybe it'll make me accountable. I'm always looking.
Yeah. Is
for
something better
that
than
makes me
nothing?
accountable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm logging into that.
Half-hearted is better than no-hearted,
right.
for sure.
It was an email because I thought it was weird because it starts out with like Omada, and then I think I don't even.
And
think
it wasn't
says,
one email.
No, I got a.
It was
couple.
like 5.
Yeah, it was definitely.
It was quite a
definitely
few.
more. Yeah. Yep.
Interesting.
Dave's rolling his eyes because he looks great and he eats
Whatever. it
two
was.
2-pound blocks of cheese every night and 2 2-liter bottles of Pepsi.
Yeah, Jackie's
One for each hand, baby.
Jackie's quick cooking for him. Just gives him a block of cheese.
I don't even know what Pepsi tastes like.
You got a little cheese in your mustache, I think. Oh, no, wait a minute. That's a Cheerio.
That's right. That would be a Cheerio.
Heart healthy, baby. Heart healthy.
Yeah, I don't know what's worse, Dave. I don't drink pop either. I mean, but I'll do an energy drink or something like that. So it's just as bad. I guess I can't really say I don't drink pop when I have an energy drink. I think all I'm skipping is the sugar, and lots of caffeine usually. It's tough.
Yeah.
It is take care of your body and soul. Oof, it's a lot of work.
And you want both?
Oh, I want both. Got to have both. And then, yeah, as you get older, it just kind of catches up.
Ah,
I can ignore a lot of signs, and I can't ignore them anymore.
Don't ignore the railroad sign.
Yeah.
Or the 45-mile-per-hour sign.
Yeah. It's like I could, stay up and work late and do a lot of things, and 3-4 hours worth of sleep, get back up and go do it again, and that's long gone.
I'm living that.
No doubt.
I'm living that 5 hours right now.
Yeah, with you being in school and stuff, that's tough.
Yeah, 5 hours is good if I get it. Yeah. Ricardo Cordova had a question from the audience. This question is for Brother Dave, the politician.
Oops.
Where could one find good resources to educate oneself on political matters related to Colorado? Psh, just go see Brother Dave.
I read that and I was curious on Dave's answer because I've searched for so many different sources, and I just always tell him, I'm like, well, I hope that's truthful. I hope that's truthful,
Right.
Because it's
What do you
it's a
believe?
version of the truth usually, but they're trying to sway you to their side, so you don't get the whole thing. We actually listened to you spit out her name, Dave. She was a bartender and has become a congresswoman.
Oh, yeah, AOC.
Yeah, AOC is what because her name's so difficult. But we listened to her whole spiel, and it was like, well, she's got some good points. That's real, but that doesn't fix the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I know that. I mean,
They were just
obviously-
roasting her the other day, Jim, on social media. She's standing in her kitchen. She's wearing a shirt that says "Tax the Rich," and she's cutting a lemon, and it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Tax the rich.
Huh.
Don't they pay taxes?
I thought so.
I mean, they probably pay more taxes than the poor,
Yeah.
right?
It's because you probably made more money. That's when you're rich. And I know the tax scale keeps going up when you make more money.
Right? Don't
Yeah,
they?
it does.
I mean,
nothing's
Has
free.
she not heard of what's going on in California?
Yeah.
No rumors, right? I mean,
they've,
this is
they've taxed them so much, right, Dave?
the rich are leaving California.
Wow.
And it's crazy. The top 1% of the richest people in California that are leaving pay 45% of that state's taxes.
Wow.
And they're bailing. They're
Go-
like, we can't afford the tax anymore. They're
Going to
bailing.
Texas.
750,000 have left
Wow.
California. So Rico,
Hold on.
you just got to get online and search everything, man.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? And you can't just go to a meme or something on social media. You know, a lot of the state stuff I get from the state treasurer's office because it's a fact, right? Those are Colorado published issues. You can just look up the treasurer, Colorado State Treasurer, and go through that stuff. I think that's Jenna Griswold, if I'm not mistaken,
Mm-hmm. It is.
the Colorado Treasurer. So, or I'm sorry, state office. And I mean, the rest of the stuff, look a couple places, just search things. You know, I don't suggest you to pull it off of Facebook or something like that. Be sure it's a reputable site. Not to say that Facebook isn't reputable, but
Oui.
yeah.
I used to get all my facts from the Colbert Report back in the day when,
Stephen Colbert.
before he was a lefty.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are some nonpartisan outlets that tout the fact that they don't slant their reporting one way or the other. You know, like they say the Denver Post is a Democratic newspaper. And if you read their articles, it's true.
Absolutely.
They really tout that one side of the agenda.
Right.
Yeah, they're left.
And God, there's some, and I'll think of it too, Ricardo, but I just can't think of it right now. There is one outlet that really touts that they are truthful news, and it's
Denver Gazette is one. They're just factual.
yeah, I don't know if that might be it, Dave. Is it the Colorado Sun or something
Yeah,
like
that's
that?
it as well.
Is that
the
the same
Denver
one?
Gazette and the
Okay.
Colorado Sun? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It sounds funny. I feel they're Republican, but it's just here's the facts, right? They don't skew it either way. They just say the facts. So kind of something on that. And, you know, here's a point in case, Rico. I don't know that this is true. If you've ever watched Gutfield or Gutfeld. I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but Greg Gutfeld is on. Is that a nightly show? Is he on nightly or daily or whatever?
I don't know. Mikey likes to tell us
Yeah,
what happened.
yeah.
I've never watched it.
He claims that only 4% of the media is Republican. The other 96% is left.
Wow.
And I feel like I want to believe that. Just when you look at every article or anything that's put out, it's very from that side. So I do believe there is a liberal lean towards that direction. And this is also a good time too, Ricardo, to bring up something, they say to fess up your mess up. Well, the podcast is only once a week, so I have to fess up last week's mess up. I did some math on there when I was talking about the $500 billion that the government
Yeah,
spends.
Google called you out on that, didn't he?
Absolutely. Thank you, Chris Beam, for checking my math. And I'll own it. You know what I mean? I'm not going to sit here and say I didn't. This is my mistake. The numbers that I had were correct, but my mistake in the math. And I didn't move the decimal point a couple places. So when I was talking about that 500 billion divided by 334 million people, I said that was a check for each of us for 14.9 million. Well, I'm way wrong. It's $1,409, not 14.9.
I'll take it.
Still
take it. Yeah,
it's still $1,400. And thank you, Chris. You said you understood my point, but my point was extremely wrong as far as the numbers. So that was a math error on Brother Dave's part right here. So yeah, fess up your mess up. Here I am.
So this isn't for Colorado news, but I do follow a couple of news outlets that are nonpartisan. One is Christian. It's called The Pour Over. Another one is called the 1440 Daily Digest. Those are two good news sources, but they're not specific to Colorado. Anybody wants those links, let me know. I'll send them to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the one YouTube channel, Dave. Is it independent? What's the gentleman called that we just watched that on the XL Energy? Independent.
Yeah.
It's something.
It's John Caldera.
Yeah.
Who's awesome, but I mean,
sorry. Go.
he's actually a libertarian.
Yeah.
He's not left or right, so he is just about the facts. It just so happens libertarians share a lot of
A Republican's view,
yeah, absolutely. They share a lot of beliefs that Republicans
which
do.
is less government.
Absolutely.
So I looked up John Caldera. It's called the Independent Institute.
Independent
Yes.
Institute.
Yes.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, that was.
problem.
And I guess I've just enjoyed those shows because it seems factual,
Yes.
but it doesn't. But it's still to the right, I guess, no matter what you want to say. But I think I don't know. That's my personal opinion about it.
I mean, Jim, I have a whole presentation that I'm doing next Tuesday at the Colorado Asphalt Pavement Association that's based on trucking's issues and why inflation is so high and why the cost of the trucks are so high and how it relates down to every single person here in the United States, not just Colorado, but Colorado is one of the worst with our inflation because of our leadership. And man, I hate to say it, but these are the facts. The greenhouse gas emissions and the climate issues, which are so easy to jump on those bandwagons because, let's face it, who doesn't want clean air or clean water? But guess what? We have it. We freaking have it. We've made these changes. We've adapted. Now we have to wait and see what happens. They're starting to choke the economy of the United States of America so tightly, we're not going to be able to continue much longer. What it's costing Americans is ridiculous. So very, very, very frustrating. Yeah, I mean, I got to save some closing arguments because I just want to jump right in there and we have some things to go over yet. So I'll wait a minute.
Sweet. Nice. Let's see. Safety topic of the week. Jim, you had a bunch of Samsara stats.
I did, Jim. So congratulations to all the drivers out there, all the JFW drivers. This is the yearly report from Samsara for your 2023 year in review, brought to you by JFW Podcast.
Wow. You are really gunning for this seat.
I'm trying really hard.
Next week, buddy.
How am I doing?
Great. I love it.
So it might be a little different than my mileage, because we do report some other vehicles and stuff. But all you guys out there, for 2023, we did 8,191,376 miles, and they reported, and I think I was pretty close, that's 328 times around the globe. You guys all went, so that's I know we talked about it at our get together at Christmas. So for hours though, Samsara says that we spent last year 217,207 hours on the road.
Wow.
So that was a cool one. The longest trip recorded by one trip recorded, which is, I loved it because it was legal. Because the best you can do is usually 600 miles. That's our rule of thumb, right? Was 549.
Nice.
So for the whole year, that's what Samsara picked up. The average distance traveled per asset. So some of you guys were over it, some of you after, but we averaged 67,000 miles.
Wow.
One truck. That's the average for the
Wow.
fleet. That's another, I don't know, that's a cool stat there. And then total trips. Trips would be every time you left one of the yards. So the trucks, last year we did 257,487 trips last year is what Samsara reports. I assume leaving the yard is a start of a trip.
So that wouldn't be a load.
No,
It
not
would
a
just
load.
be
The trip
from a
I mean,
day.
yeah, I mean, it probably picks up a trip that we left here, took the truck to Kenworth,
Right.
and it came back to be
Right,
repaired. But that's just
Yeah.
how we did it. So, but I do want to get into the important stuff here, which means a lot to you guys and the drivers are what have done this. So our overall fleet safety score for 2023 was a 95. Congratulations,
Wow.
you guys. Great.
Good job.
Great job. Yeah,
That
absolutely.
is awesome.
And there was, out of that,
Shoot for 96 next year.
exactly,
You bet.
exactly. And so there was, though, with that 95%, we still ended up with 15,581 safety events detected.
Wow.
And I don't know, and a safety event, is that stop signs?
Could be a harsh break.
Harsh
Could be
break,
following
all that.
Speeding, following too close. Yeah,
Could
Getting
be
10 over, right, Dave?
I believe so. Yeah, because
Yeah.
it won't record 0 to 5.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, but we got a 95 and still had 15,000 events. So it's not like we had one, and it dinged us for it. So good stuff.
Some of those could have been automatically dismissed. Some of those could
Yeah.
have been dismissed by the safety directors. Some of them are legit.
Sure.
Yep.
Sure.
Yeah, great stats though.
Oh yeah,
Samsara's
that's
amazing.
important. Congratulations to all of you. This is fantastic. So this is would like to read this out. I don't know if we can you add a drum roll in your music there?
I would love to.
Right.
No, I don't need to.
write the write the time down. But the safest driver in 2023 was Dwayne Potter. Congratulations, Potter. Way to go.
Congratulations.
And I did mention this to JR, and JR said that that's probably even more difficult for Potter because he had a snowplow truck and was using it, and he was driving two vehicles is what I'm saying. So he was not only in his truck, but then on his personal time was driving the snowplow, and that's probably difficult to do. So congratulations, Potter. Awesome job. Second place, and they're not. I'm reading these. They have put Potter as he got the trophy, but the next three guys were the next three safest people, and that would be John Moore, Jesse Rodabaugh, and Mike Bortz. So congratulations, you guys. You four
Absolutely.
guys, fantastic. And I don't know why they just did four guys. I
Were
don't know.
those all hundreds?
It doesn't say, Dave. Just safe is a flat
Huh.
stat.
Interesting.
Safest driver.
Very cool.
I have to look. I'm not trying to pick on Jesse Rodabaugh, but I don't. Has he been here a year? I don't think.
Oh, I
he's-
thought he just celebrated a year.
maybe he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was here last winter. I remember.
Yeah.
Want me
I-
to check?
Yeah, why
yeah,
don't you?
make it through. But but still, if it wasn't 30 days,
He's still doing a good job.
Good
Yeah.
job. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Good job, Jesse.
And then it says here, with great safety comes great videos. Samsara recorded 18,499 videos were uploaded from Samsara with over 31,000 minutes of footage. Wow. Is what we've looked at, combed through, recorded. However,
That's crazy.
good stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 1 year in April,
Oh,
so just shy.
okay.
Oh, just shy. Okay. Well, still, congratulations. Must be Samsara must have picked him up somehow.
Still doing good, and I know he does take safety seriously.
Yeah.
He's good.
Yep, absolutely. So then another thing it spit out, because I didn't even know this report existed. So your fleet's average fuel efficiency this year is 6.3 miles per gallon. So that's fleet wide. That's like that 67,000 miles that the fleet traveled. And like you just said a minute ago, Dave, wouldn't that be nice to be 6.5, 6.6? I'm sure there's some room for improvement there, but congratulations, you guys. For years we couldn't get out of 5.5, 5.6, maybe, Dave.
Right.
I mean, it was terrible. So congratulations, you guys. But it does list most fuel efficient drivers, and I thought, oh, who's that going to be? And
Another drum roll.
yep, another drum roll, Jim. Write the time down. We'll have to throw it in there. But he's a guy that silent warrior, cool on his stool. I've seen him come in the morning when he comes in the driveway in his personal vehicle and leaves in the big truck, and he's quiet. And but when I've talked to him, he's got important things to say. So I got to give him a pat on the back. Jack Domenico, top fuel guy in the fleet.
Nice.
Top dog on the fuel. So good job. Second, and I think this is just important to mention, is Dwayne Potter. Shows him, and I don't know. Again, it's a list. It's given us 3 guys on this list. So Dwayne Potter, and then the third guy they mention here is Todd Dahl. So
Nice.
Congratulations, Todd.
Sweet.
Again,
Cool.
Potter and Jack. Good
job, guys.
Good
Nice
stuff.
job.
Good stuff.
Absolutely.
Awesome being part of the team.
All right. Oh, never mind.
And let me look right quick, Jim.
Yeah, take your time.
One more stat. Let me give this one here. The admins, which is the safety guys, right? JR, Ken, Casey, Scooby, even you, Jam, all of us could do it. Super Dave can do it and stuff. But so they how it states it here is the safety people have been busy coaching. We had 4,587 events reviewed, and we coached almost 2,000 events. So that you guys made a personal effort to send the video or however it was, and we coached over 2,000. And I think what I like about that stat is how many other companies are trying to coach and make their whole team better by that kind of review. I mean, we had 2,000 conversations or a video with our team members.
Man, it makes me wonder, like, what if we never got cameras? I mean, obviously,
Right, Jam?
it's been a huge benefit as far as, capturing accidents and exonerating us and stuff like that. And, coaching people after the fact, right? Being that reactive that you talk about, Brother Dave. But what if we didn't have Samsara? What kind of damages, what kind of accidents, how much is that coaching actually working? And I believe it is.
Immensely.
Yeah.
I hope that our people get it, because just like we've talked about this whole podcast, we had 3 incidences last week or 4 that we've talked about here. That is not to ridicule and point fingers at those guys. It's to take the other 100 drivers and go, wow, this happened. Think about it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Could happen to
Learn from someone else's mistake. And we talk about that all the time as well. The more you talk about those things, the more you think about it, right? The Larry, the one safety guy from Great West, he is their senior safety and risk analyst. This guy's been around the block a time or 12. Right. I mean, he's a seasoned safety veteran. I mean, this guy's educated, he's cultured, he's experienced. He has so many things to offer us. And one of the comments he said when we're talking about trying to help someone, right? We're just trying to make them better. Have the conversation, educate them, coach them, right? He goes, but sometimes you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. But if you hold its head under long enough, it eventually takes some in. I loved that quote. I loved it so much, I remembered it. Yeah. I mean, I've used it like 5 times now already. And I'm like, I heard that quote, and I'm like, I want to kiss you right now.
Huh. Yeah, with the accent and everything. It was.
Yeah, he has a little southern accent.
Yes.
Yeah, it was good. Because that's what this podcast is.
And kind of a deep voice. It was like, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. It was awesome. Yeah. It was awesome.
Since you guys brought, well, not that part, but I do have one more piece, because the last page of this, and I didn't flip it because it was more to us as JFW, but you guys just mentioned it, and Jam, you asked the question, where would we be without Samsara, right? So they send you a questionnaire.
Here's where you would be, right, in the gutter.
And they're not saying, they're asking us to fill it in, but it says, share your 2023 savings with us. How much money did you save with us in 2023? Think about savings through increased fuel efficiency, accident prevention, and reduced insurance costs, and select one. And it's 0 to 10K, 10K to 50, 50 to 100, 100 to 500. That's the ones you can just check that we could turn in. But you got, and we haven't tracked this. I'm not quite sure how you track it, because it's accident prevention. Well, how did it cost you if you prevented it? But maybe we took our 2 years or 3 years ago, we took how many accidents we had and goes, okay, we knocked it down by 5.
That makes sense. I'm thinking though, like, did it save us from killing somebody?
Yeah.
Did it save us from, the big one?
That cost isn't on here, right, Jam?
You can't calculate that.
But in addition to Samsara, we've added the blind spotter on every truck. We've added the mirrors on the hoods on every truck. We've added the accident mitigation on all the trucks. We've just continued to add, even through all of that experience, we had to add the safety has no blind spot and roll that project out.
Yep.
And I mean, here we are, we're leading the horses to the water.
Yep.
But it's up to you to drink it. You got to drink the Kool-Aid.
Yep.
You have to be engaged. You have to be aware. You have to be aware of your surroundings. It's that situational awareness in every single situation you're in all day long.
I don't know where it's going to go, but we've been talking about, well, what's the next step? How do we become even safer? And we started talking about some online training management,
right?
Where,
right,
there's videos where we could send out a video a month and people have to watch it, take a short test. And they're not long videos and they're not hard tests, but it's just something to get people thinking a little bit more. It's just something to bring them that water a little bit more, offer them another sip, wet the road, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So true. All of this, that's what I was just, and you said it, Jam, was just hopefully maybe that video would make them drink a little more, force some water in that we're not even aware somebody took in.
Right.
And that's the goal. Because you stood outside and you told both me and Dave, to be aware as I'm looking into these programs are what, $10,000 to $12,000 a year.
Yeah.
First thing my knee jerk reaction is, Jesus, another $10,000, another $10,000, but what would that prevent?
Yeah.
Would it really save a life? And how can you put a dollar on that?
Because that's cheap.
It's cheap.
That's
absolutely
cheap.
Could be one accident. We have a $25,000 deductible. That could be one accident.
Absolutely, Jam.
It could be 2 accidents, 2.5.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So. No, you are spot on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I told you that the other day. I wanted to kind of get a reaction just to see if I should continue to pursue researching it or forget that. You know what I mean? And there was none of that. It was just like, wow, that's expensive, but.
Yeah,
but is it? Did you find something? You know what I mean? Are we going to save that? You know what I mean? And I know we can't look into a crystal ball and go, oh, absolutely, hands down, we'll save that. But that's one accident. If we talk about that all the time, if we get one driver to drive better, and that's the purpose of everyone listening to this podcast, not just us.
Right.
If you work for someone else, God bless you for listening to the podcast and actually trying to do better.
Yep.
Thank you for trying to put that cart away. And I know that's just an analogy, but those are the steps you need to go through. No one's going to make you better except you.
Yep.
Right? We can hold your head underwater as long as we want. Eventually, a little will go in.
Hey, if you're out there and you use one of these systems, either Infinity or 10th Street or the two that we're considering, if you used it, will you contact me and give me some feedback, please?
A good point, Jim.
Yeah.
All right. You guys ready for tips and tricks from Ray Davis?
Absolutely.
Tips and tricks for the fleet. If you're slip seating a truck, how do you know that you have a trailer that you need to load from the back first? The answer I come up with is you wouldn't, unless you paid attention to what trailer is doing what when you get loaded. The easiest way is we need to have the loaders put that first bucket in the rear of the trailer on all trailers. If you're at Wallstrom, you can unplug your 7-way before you get loaded and plug it back in once loaded, or just load from the back if you're comfortable doing so under the bins. The last 2 weeks on Mondays, I've watched who got into 0011 because Ronnie B is covering nights Sunday and Monday, so slip seaters have been driving 0011 on Mondays. So I've asked the drivers at the end of the day, did you know that trailer needs to be loaded from the rear first? And they had no idea. One had some issues and one said they had no issues and didn't know that you needed to load that trailer from the rear first. The best thing I have come up with is going to the dollar store and getting a colored DOT sticker, or dot sticker, and putting it on the handle of the trailer raise valve for them to see it and know this is one of them trailers, because if slip seating, you should see how the trailer goes up and how to engage that PTO before leaving the yard. If you have one of these trailers and it's not working properly, you need to write it up. It's kind of sad that we have gotten too comfortable in not doing our job, that we need to put stickers to know or signs to say there is a wall. Yes, because we are failing and not doing our job. We are better than this. We are JFW. We are the best. Let's be better. If you have one of these trailers and have not gotten with me or Kendrick, please let us know so we can get a list. And me and him and the safety team are working on a whole checklist on problems and how to solve them. Trainer tips. If you see something that's not right, we need to say something and correct it, or bring it up to make us better. We are the eyes out here on the road, pits and plants. Let's tighten the ship up and continue to be the best. Hope all is well with the JFW family, friends, and listeners. Remember, safety has no blind spot. Look and lean, sit up in your stool, don't be a fool. Much love and respect always. 0013, Ray.
Thanks, Ray.
Good job, Ray. And I have to say, Jam, I know he's discussed it. He's discussed it with Mikey, me, Brother Dave. He's working with Ken and Casey and stuff like that. And he mentioned the green dots, and the conversation I had with him, and I think when he's talking about that we're failing in stuff, is that recognizes those trailers, that there is a specific problem with them, that
Right.
They sometimes work, they sometimes don't work. But my whole issue when I spoke to Ray about it was that problem can happen with any trailer. And maybe you didn't pull your tailgate valve, and shut the tailgate and all that. But, we've had the leveling valve arm break off. We've had all sorts of different things happen. As a driver, you need to recognize that trailer's aired up, aired down, bags up, down. It doesn't matter. You have to know your equipment. And I think that's where his little bit of frustration is, you should have recognized that didn't air up and make a phone call, or, if there's a situation, how you can unplug your 7-way, or, he mentioned that a couple of guys were brake checking it, and that's just not a good look. It's not good on the truck, but
not good for the equipment at all.
Right? But it does jam the valve and sometimes fixes it. But I just explained to him, I said, we have to educate so that you recognize, that the trailer's not aired up or it's aired down. I mean, we had one driver this summer that came in, and the shop told him to come in, and his air ride valve had the arm had broke off the axle where the arm comes down and fastened to the axle on the trailer. And he came in, and I mean, it was okay, but it's not right. And luckily it was empty. But the trailer was aired all the way up, just did that's where he left the valve and the whole bit. And I'm like, when you recognize this, and I know the shot came in, but all he had to do temporarily was just put a bungee around the arm and the axle, and it put the arm right back in its place. It would have leveled. He didn't need it to last like all day. He didn't need to do loads with it. But the fixing the problem or working with what you have, that's a step we skip sometimes so much. And that's important. So, and we told Ray everybody's working on it. Mikey's been working on it, but as you see, we have so many endeavors going on in the shop. We're trying to work on the super tandems because we're trying to, break into that business by being money efficient, I guess. I don't know what's a good way to being smart about it.
Absolutely.
By building our own.
Yeah, by building our own or a lot of the components, but again, and here you're going to think I'm dogging on the drivers that had the accidents. In between everything else, we had to spend, I don't know how many hours repairing the hood on 52 that 91 hit.
Trailer tire and wheel on the other truck.
Yeah, and that's all time.
DPF box, step, and fuel tank on the other truck that hit the scale.
Absolutely. When should we be working on trailer valves? Could be.
Nice.
We should be working on things that aren't preventable incidents.
Exactly. So it's a vicious circle.
I do want to throw something out there. This is only about 10 trailers is what Ray has come up with. So I discourage the rest of the fleet from loading from the tailgate forward.
Right.
And here's the reason why. Those liners bolt in those trailers. They bolt in the nose. And the reason they only bolt in the nose is because they need to expand and shrink inside that trailer. I don't know if everyone's noticed or not, but like this time of year, that liner is probably a couple inches away from that gate. Come July or August, when it's 95 degrees out or 100 degrees out, that liner is possibly against your tailgate and pushing on it. There's a possibility, and this, we need to know this as well. If there is a bubble or hump that's created in the trailer because there's not enough room for that liner to expand and it's pushing that hard against the gate, that it's created a bubble, and now you load in the back and you hold that liner down from leaving any room to expand, and then you load on the front. When you dump, you've created a wrinkle, and the material is going to slide over that wrinkle, and the liner's ruined. We will never get the wrinkle out of that. That wrinkle will be in that liner, and it'll just wear out in 6 months because it's layered over itself. So a lot of things go into that. So I caution anyone to just start loading from the back front, loading from the back forward. Let's find out those 10 trailers and move forward from there. The other 90 probably are just fine. So I want to caution everyone, we need to talk about that, right? Here's the education part. We need to have situational awareness, know our equipment, know where we're at with it, and understand it.
What's kind of cool is Ray, he doesn't even have one of those trailers. He's
Right.
just taking this upon himself.
Yeah.
Well, he had a
help us.
trainer a trainee that was in one, Jim.
Right.
And
So
that's
he
how
wants to help
how he
get
ran
fixed.
across it. And the cool thing was that the trainee was so sharp, he immediately knew that the bags weren't teared up on the trailer because they started down the road, and he's like, whoa, this is riding like crap. Why?
Huh.
And was able to put 2 and 2 together and go, my airbags aren't teared up. So
Is that his most recent training, do you know? Is it?
I think it was the one, he's got a new one. I think it was the one prior.
Got it.
I can't remember his name.
Hey, and then I had this note. We've all been discussing it, and JR did send me a text earlier right at the top. A quick note, so it fits in with the safety topic. But we were talking about cleaning out up at CMEX, and I get the rule has been that we can't clean out at CMEX. I think we've spoken to the loader operator, and he says that it's okay to clean out at CMEX. And Chris Beam has talked to the loader operator. And guys, if we can clean out there, that's where we'd like to clean out. We'd like to leave the customer all their material, but we have to be safe. We have to, use our ladders. We can't be jumping off the ladders, and throwing the shovels in and all this other stuff. But the thing, and we're having a conversation with CMEX right now, what their biggest fear of, and we did talk with the safety guy that's above the loader, is that JR sent, when he sent the text this morning, that they're worried about MSHA. and MSHA just does not want us in the trailer. And MSHA cares about safety, but they don't care about the value of what we're bringing the customer by not contaminating loads, and we explained it to CEMEX, and they totally understood that, when we loaded a load of rock and then come up there and hauled their product, we cleaned our trailer. We're clean for them. We don't want them to have a bunch of rock in their material or salt. It's the same thing when we leave their site. We want to clean all the clay or material out of them, out of our trailers, give them the product we hauled, plus be clean when we go to another customer. That's customer satisfaction right there. So, we've gotten like kind of permission to do that, but just be careful up there, I can't say at this point that it's okay, but it's not. But if we can clean out, that's what we'd like done. That is the best for everybody. So just a quick note on that.
Nice. Sue, want to hit us with that high road hauling?
Right. We'll touch base on this week. This is a new one, and I kind of always go back into my records there to see if I've talked about a certain topic before. And sometimes I have talked about the same thing a couple different times, but in a different way. But I've never talked about this before, and this is kind of important because there's a lot of people that suffer with anxiety. Okay, so this High Road Hauling is about anxiety and what you can do to help with it. Anxiety is a perfectly normal and natural part of being a human. There are always always going to be times when you're more nervous or worried than others. But for some, anxiety is a much stronger, more fearsome force, one that never ever goes away. But what is anxiety exactly, and what's going on in your mind and your body when it strikes? How do you cope with it when it takes hold? The National Institute for Mental Health says more than 40 million people are diagnosed with anxiety, and millions more go undiagnosed. Anxiety itself is a natural human response that serves a purpose. Our goal shouldn't be to dismiss it entirely, just to make a healthy, manageable part of our lives. Even if you don't suffer from an anxiety-related disorder, you've likely had to deal with it occasionally and cope the best way you know how. Anxiety is a part of our world, the same as stress, sadness, and happiness are. But the key is understanding how to cope with it and how to keep it from becoming unhealthy. So what is anxiety and how does it differ from stress? Put simply, anxiety is a sense of fear and apprehension that puts you on alert. Biologically, it's meant to put us in a heightened sense of awareness so we're prepared for potential threats. Unfortunately, when we start to feel excessive anxiety or we live in a constant state of anxiety, we're in trouble. Our bodies never turn off our fight or flight response, and we live with the physical and emotional effects of anxiety on a day-to-day basis, even when there's no reason or cause for the anxiety. Anxiety can look like stress, but it's not. Stressors can make a person sad, angry, worried, or anxious, while anxiety is specifically that feeling of fear or dread and apprehension. You may never even know what's causing your anxiety, or in some cases, it can manifest on its own without any real trigger or cause. Stress is often caused by an external reason, while anxiety is an internal response. That's part of what makes anxiety intrinsically different than stress, and also what makes it so difficult to manage. Recognizing anxiety can be difficult. Start by identifying its red flags. Are you pessimistic about the most harmless of situations to the point where it keeps you from taking risks? Do you find your mind racing to what possible negative outcomes there could be? Do you immediately attribute some external circumstance to a positive outcome that could be seen as a result of your efforts? If your answer is yes to any of these questions, then you may suffer from persistent anxiety. Regardless of whether you're living with anxiety or suffering from an anxiety-related condition, There are ways to deal with and lessen the impact. Number 1, turn to relaxation techniques, meditation, exercise, or a personal ritual. For example, simple paced breathing. I know this sounds cliche and we've talked about it a lot, but it is a way to coax the body into a more relaxed state. Breathe in for 4 seconds and out for 6. Count in your head and focus on the counting and the sensation of your breathing. Number 2, visualization. Imagine you are in the most relaxing environment you can possibly think of. Stop and mentally put yourself there. For example, if you are on a beach, ask yourself how warm it is and whether there are clouds in the sky. Is it quiet or do you hear the ocean? The more you do, the farther away your mind will be from whatever has triggered your anxiety. Number 3, music, exercise, or meditation. You can get a similar benefit from music, exercise, or meditation. Relaxing music can help you take your mind off of your anxiety or help you refocus after an anxious spell. Exercise is similar, but instead of just taking your mind away, it actually has a neurological benefit as well as a physiological one. The endorphins released in our brains during exercise make us happier, and the feeling of accomplishment we get from regular activity can help curb the anxiety. Meditation, especially guided meditation, can also help, since the entire point is to calm the mind and dismiss the errant thoughts that lead to the anxiety and stress. Meditation can help you focus on your surroundings or be mindful of the present instead of letting the background noise overwhelm you. And 4, mood tracking. It is helpful for more than just clearing your mind. It can also help you identify patterns and underlying causes of your anxiety. Once a person is aware of an anxious thinking pattern, they can begin to work on interventions to manage their anxiety. Do this by keeping a thought journal. Try to identify a pattern and make plans for when these triggers are on the horizon. For example, does your boss calling you into their office make you nervous? Then recognize this and begin to challenge the thoughts that are making you nervous. Tell yourself that you have completed all of your obligations and that you have done nothing wrong, assuming that's true, that is. Challenge the anxiety-provoking thoughts by telling yourself that you have not done anything that would warrant a negative conversation. And again, that's assuming that's true. The experts say you shouldn't try to suppress anxiety. You can't just will it away. That's unrealistic. You need to learn how to cope with the feeling, to minimize its effects on you, and go on with your life. Of course, entire books have been written on the topic of anxiety and anxiety disorders. Hopefully, some of these suggestions can help you deal with the anxiety or identify it in your friends or loved ones so they can get the help they need to cope. And the quote this week is, we all have anxiety about things, we all have little insecurities, but eventually you have to face your fears if you want to be successful. And everybody has some fears of failure, and that was spoken by Nick Saban, a championship college football coach. So he knows a little bit about overcoming your fears.
Yes, he does.
Nice job, Sue.
If anybody's suffering from that, I hope some of those ideas will help you whip them and get over that.
Thank you.
Good job, Dave.
Final thoughts, everybody?
Jim, I just don't have any.
I see you writing away over there. Are you sure?
So, Super Dave, when you said that you usually go back and look at your old high road hauling, and this was a new one. So you go back. You call that the library of roads? I was just high road hauling.
No, I don't.
I think it's his map book.
I could just see it with
It should be his map book.
sweater, a pipe, and he's in his library of roads, and he's going back through the high road hauling.
The ones on the bottom got to be the low road then.
Oh shoot!
I did go back though because they're all numbered in the library. The next one will be number 300.
Wow,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
Dude.
that one there was
Dave.
$2.99.
Good job.
That's
buddy.
I mean, honestly, that's an accomplishment.
It is.
It is
To put together 300 high road haulings.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
Thank you.
Absolutely, good
I
stuff.
hope everyone appreciates it.
Yep. I wanted to talk, since we've talked stuff about different drivers and things that went on and safety bonus and stuff like this. I ran across a TED Talk, I believe, and I think we've all watched I can't remember the guy's name. I should have wrote it down, but I've even showed it to the steering committee or his speeches. But he said when you have a situation happen, you have to be able to not let it affect your worth. And he said, I got this new position in the job I was working in, and it was to write this whole essay about a certain subject. And they said the manager of that division that I just got assigned to, he was tough. He was just, wouldn't let anything pass. And he said, man, I sat down and I wrote my first essay and I turned it in, and the guy just chewed it up. He just marked this out, said this was wrong, did that. And he said, I left the room, and he said, I went back and I wrote another one and I brought it back to him, and he did the same thing, chewed it up, put notes, marked it X, did this, scribbled on it, everything else. And he said, I took that one and I went back and I wrote another one. And he said it got to be a little bit fun because he went to marking on it and scratching it out and stuff like that. And he said, I joked with him. He said, oh, come on, it can't be that bad. That one wasn't that bad. And he said, I seen a little smile on the guy's face, working with me. And he said, it took me 7 times to get it correct, what I was writing. But he said, what I didn't do is I didn't let it affect my worth. He said the guy was doing his job by correcting my errors, making me better. But he said, I didn't leave those meetings going, oh, I'm an idiot. Oh, I got a target on my back. Oh, I need to do this. I did not take it personally. I did not let it affect my work, my worth, my personal worth. I went back and I tried to be better. I tried to correct the things. And the guy didn't take it personally either. It was his job. And I just want to throw out there in the universe that, and it's cliche that this is just business. We don't assume, do we trust and not trust? Yeah, that's part of the situation. Can you always earn trust back? Almost 100%, but if you're not, you're a bad guy, or a bad person usually. Mm-hmm. And I just want to make that we do decisions based on what's best for the business and the group and what makes us better. If we're having to ask for the same thing over and over, we're gonna correct it. It's like the guy that hit the what'd you call that, Jam? The fence on JFW.
The JFW on JFW crime?
Yeah, crime. Right. Well, he was warned 2 other times in writing. We let the gentleman go because it's his problem and it cannot any longer be ours. That's a business decision for the safety of everybody else here.
We're protecting the JFW family members that are here.
Exactly.
Period.
And whether it might be that means less work for them, better processes, quicker goals, all of that is taking into consideration. And that's what we're doing. It may not be just about safety. It could be about what makes us better as a group, and we're going to make this decision. And it's not personal. It's not a target. It's nothing like that. It's what's going to be better. And when we get the response, oh, I would have done it your way if I knew I was going to get this kind of punishment. Like I said, if we would have not listened to Boral over 20 years ago, we would not, because I tell you, the other 2 companies, they're out of business. I have to state that. They're out of business. So do you want to be in business? I'll just end it with this. Do you want to be in business? Out of business? Well, do you want to be out of business or do you want to be successful?
Right.
And no matter what you do.
Man, it reminds me of like salespeople, right? You have an account with somebody for 5 years and then you could get better pricing. Somebody else comes to you, and this has happened here actually, like, oh, well, we could work on your pricing for you. Well, why didn't you work on my pricing for me for the last 5 years? You know,
Right.
why am I wasting money for 5 years with not the absolute best price? So now, same thing. Like, you're not giving us your very best until there's repercussions.
Exactly.
Oh, well, now I could do it. And I've told this story in here before. I was working with my brother. My brother was a beast. He was an earner. The other two guys that I work with, they were brokers also. They were earners. And something happened, and I told my brother, I'm trying my hardest. And he told me, if that's your hardest, we got a problem. You are not the man for this job. And guess what? Turned out that wasn't my hardest. I had some more hardest to go. You know, same thing. Like, don't wait for it to be too late. Don't wait to say you're trying not to use your phone anymore. Don't use it. Just do it the way we're telling you.
And it's the same thing I'm talking about. And I know that is a great example, Jam, and I do love when you tell that story. But it doesn't mean that you were like keeping the best books, like you were the nicest guy on the phone, like you went and got coffee for your brother every day. All those things were great. All that was top notch.
Right.
But was it your hardest?
No, it wasn't my best.
Your best. And that's what we talk about here. You know, and I have my days where I'm not giving my best, but I know at some point I have to correct that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's going to affect somebody, and usually it's our company, which is 150 people.
When you get a job here, we trust you to give your very best. You trust us to give our very best.
Mm-hmm.
It's a symbiotic relationship. You know, if Super Dave didn't think I would be giving my very best at my job, he wouldn't want me to do my job. You know, if you and brother Dave didn't trust each other to be partners and give your very best, that would be a problem. If we didn't believe Super Dave was going to give his very best every day, that's going to be a problem. You know, it should just carry over to everybody that works here.
And Jam, I have to say it, that concept works in every bit of your life.
Yeah.
Your relationship with your significant other, the relationship with your kids, the relationship, your religious relationship, all of that. It counts. You know that politically, go vote. That's your right. That's your job. That's doing your very best. And that's simple. So yeah, I hope that sinks in for some people. I hope people can understand what I'm trying to get at. That Boral asked us to do it this way. We did it that way, and it was a stepping stone to our success.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of mentioned it the other way. I guess this will be my final thoughts. I mentioned the other week, like some of the people that I've been meeting lately, there's a standard and there's no compromise. This is how it's going to be. There's lives on the line, and we won't accept anything less than that. So my final thought is level up and don't compromise. Give us your very best.
Yep.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So I was sitting here as you guys were doing your final thoughts, and I kind of wanted an answer for Rico as far as where I'm getting my information. So I'm on the CDOT website, and I guess my closing thoughts are, and you mentioned vote, Jim. So of course, this is what I'm going to talk about. And
It shocks me.
Right? Do you guys know the fastest growing industry in Colorado?
Government.
Hey, good job.
Really?
Spot on, Dave.
I think I heard you talking about it in the office the other day.
Between the state, the cities, and the counties, all three of those need to hire more people than ever.
Wow.
Now,
Wow.
how is that? I guess my question is, how is the cities, the states, the counties growing? How are they growing?
Our tax money.
Right. So in order to fund that, what do they need?
More money.
More tax money, right? So small business is 60% of the nation's income. I'm just going to assume Colorado falls in there somewhere, right?
And what's considered small business?
1 to 500 employees.
Got it. Anything
Small
under
business.
500.
Yes, yes. So, and so that's 60% of the nation's raw income, right? I guess my question to all of you is, do you know how many new laws are put in place annually here in Colorado? How many new Colorado laws are created every year?
600.
Well, you're close, in how many are created. I guess I'm putting a play on your words, Jim.
Sure.
Last year, over 700 were put to vote.
Okay.
Right? We passed over 400 of those.
Wow.
Historically, if you go back, and I just went back 10 years, Rico, this is on the state website, buddy. So if you go back 10 years, we've asked for an average of 500 to 600 laws to be passed. An average of 400 per year for the last 10 years have been passed for the state of Colorado. You're doing the math right now, Jim. I'm seeing it in your head.
Yeah.
Right? Chris, I've double checked this. You can check me just to be sure. That's 4,000 new laws. Wow. So when a bill is proposed at the Capitol, once it's passed, it becomes a law. Right? So in the last 10 years, under the left's control, we've added 4,000 new laws. Is Colorado better now
No.
than we were 10 years ago?
Nope.
They're starting already. Ray Scott, that friend of mine, he was the senator over there in Grand Junction in Mesa County for he's done his 12 years and he's termed out. He can't do it anymore. So he just sent me a deal yesterday, you guys. They're trying to outlaw any trucks being able to drive in the left lane from Morrison to Glenwood Springs. You will not be allowed in the left lane because some politician thinks that's better. And he's going to add that to his ask from the governor, and come the end of the year, they all decide to vote and pass this. So when you say your vote doesn't matter, my God, your vote matters more than you can ever imagine. And it's getting to be critical. It's getting to be critical that you vote. And I guess my question is, and I've asked Ray this because I don't understand. I asked him yesterday, who creates these bills that is sent and voted on, right? Who's creating them? And his point was anyone who wants to make a name for themselves. They think it's outstanding when they sit there and they get interviewed and they say, I've created 65 new laws for Colorado. And then they would come to Ray and he laughed because he said one interview he did, they asked how many new laws he's created for Colorado. And he said 3. And I don't remember the 2, but one that he's most happy about or most impressed with, and I don't know if any of you guys have noticed it. I haven't seen one for quite a while, but I'll call it what looks like an ATM machine, but you could walk into like a King Soopers, some of them would have them, and you could renew your license plates at one of those. It's an automated ATM to get your license plates for your car, for your car renewal. Yeah, a kiosk. Thanks, Jim. You did it right there. I've seen him before. I haven't seen him for a long time, but Ray was uber proud of that because he goes, it made sense to me. It eliminated, guess what? A government position, right? That the more government positions that are created, the more tax dollars that are needed to generate. I mean, why do you think Polis is continuing to try to keep our Tabor refunds? He needs more money. He wants to employ more people. Who would the general public rather hear is the largest growing sector in the state? The government or small business? At a certain point, we can't all work for the government. And it's mind-numbing to me because the more government positions, the more tax they're going to need to collect, the more your income's going to need to go up, the more they're going to charge you, the more they're going to continue to take from you. Oh my gosh, everybody, we all have our doubts or thoughts on Trump. You can love the man, you can hate the man. Same with Biden, right? All I can give you is one instance back in 2017 after Trump took office. He would not allow anyone to put a new law on the books unless they took 2 off. When that happened back in 17, I was like, that's the smartest thing in the world I've ever heard. Because Colorado doesn't need 4,000 new laws that we've just gotten in the last 10 years. We're already starting. Now they're talking they don't want you to run in the left lane in a big truck from Morrison to Glenwood. If you are caught in the left lane, you need to be passing a slower car that's going well under speed limit. You guys all know what it's like. The few times you've jumped out in the fast lane to go around a slow car in the slow lane, they speed up. And then pretty soon you're playing this yo-yo game because they're on the phone or they're not paying attention. And it's so important to vote. If you know people that don't vote, ask them to. Explain these silly things. Tell them we don't need 400 more laws to go into effect at the end of this year. It's mind-numbing. It's sickening. We don't need politicians that need to make a name for themselves. We need politicians that want to help us be better. They want to help us grow our small business. They want to help us grow our industry. They're not after making a name for themselves because they put 10 laws on the books this year. That's not a good thing for us. For every law that goes in, they need to hire someone to regulate it. They need to hire someone to inform us. They need to hire someone to control it. They need to hire someone that's going to fine us because guess what? Their position is costing tax dollars, so they need to charge us. It's not good. And this is all government. It's a bad look all the way around. And, you know, our news agencies, our newspapers, our places that we gather information don't ever talk about this. And it's very, very sad. It's very, very sickening to me. I don't believe it's the world we grew up in. I don't believe it's what our forefathers envisioned for us. And unfortunately, it's what it has become. So if you don't think your vote is important, oh my gosh, are you wrong? And talk to your friends about it. Explain to them how and why they can't afford to live here in Colorado anymore. These are the reasons. So anyway, I'll leave that with you. That's my final thoughts.
Thank you, Dave. Soup, you got any more final thoughts?
I'm good.
You good? All right, everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Channel 23 podcast. Hit that follow button. Also, don't forget to go back and listen to episode 72 to help find Amber's mom. Links to her story will be in the description of today's podcast. Let's say the creed and get on out.
Together we face and overcome all that stands before us. Together we are accident-free. Together we joyfully create honest value for those we serve. Together we celebrate our differences and respect those with whom we work. Together we are accountable for our words and our actions. Together we are the JFW family.
All right.
Have a great week, everybody.
See everybody later.
I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-looking for another load. Well, it's a family tradition, any Rocky Mountain day. Our fathers before us showed us the way. We worked for asphalt cowboys and concrete kings, but that's never been a problem, cause we got diesel in our veins. We've got diesel in our veins. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just looking for another load. I hear there's a couple million tons to move. I see them everywhere. So you best get out their way and watch that sand and gravel disappear. There's another run to make. We gotta get it there on time. And we got what it takes to lay it all out on the line. We'll lay it all out on the line. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just looking for another load. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks got the best drivers in town. They got all the tools they need to keep that hammer down. When they hit them scales, they won't need to dodge them, won't need to duck them. They just keep that hammer down, and they keep that diesel trucking. Keep that hammer down, and keep that diesel trucking. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-looking for another load. They just keep them doors a-closed, keep them butts in their seats, 'cause those customers are calling, and those red trucks can't be beat. They've gotta put the hammer down and pick up another load. Get it off the ground, keep them eyes open and on the road. Keep them eyes open on the road. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just looking for another load. Breaker 23, anybody got a copy on that Channel 23 podcast? Welcome, and thanks for listening.